and it's gone. Hesitate and your history.
Gotta move, gotta move, gotta move.
Oh, she lost. Unbelievable.
This is women's speed chess.
Oh my goodness!
It's a collision of elite minds, a global showcase of brilliance under pressure.
Wow. Beautiful checkmate there from Vaishali.
Their precision, razor sharp. The attacks, blistering. The tactics, bold. And their tempo, lightning fast.
Knight g4 and mate. Ooh, make sure you do your tactics at home, boys and girls. Knight h4, you win the queen. That's it. That's the match.
Wenjun is the champion.
The 2025 Women's Speed Chess Championship starts now.
Hello and welcome, and the stage is for the grand final of the Women's Speed Chess Championship tonight. Only one is going to be emerging victorious and a champion will be crowned. I'm your host, International Master Ivanka Hauska, and I'm here with one of the icons of the game. Of course, it is the legendary Grandmaster, Judith Polgar. Judith, we are set for a clash of titans as we have Hou Yifan facing off against Wenjun.
Hi everyone, I'm very excited to see this exceptional match, we can say, because we strong grandmasters playing today, and both of them have their nerves, I think, on the highest, but they are both players who are many times world champions, each of them, so they know what a stressful moment is, and they know what is a stressful few hours is, and they made their way all the way up until the finals. And they know it's not over. They know that one of them is going to be smiling. The other one will have not such a good afternoon or late evening. But we'll see who is going to be better, who will have the better day, and how their intuition will work.
Absolutely. And there you can see this is what we have been waiting for. I mean, the field was incredibly stacked, but Wenjun against Hou Yifan, this is certainly going to be one of the closest matches that we have seen. At times, we have been seeing unpredictable moments, but Wenjun yesterday just flew into the final as she defeated Polina Shivalova by 17 points to 5, breaking her own record with the amount of points that she scored. But Hou Yifan, she just seems to be getting better and better. And talking about starting off with 16, I mean, we began with 16 absolutely incredible players. And let's take a look at the standings and take a peek at their earnings so far. And big names in the chess world.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to see these kind of events when we see the top women players of the world fighting it out and online in a very special format. I like to follow, and I'm observing how great or what are the flows of the format. But I think it's pretty exciting for the audience also to follow the different time controls, also that every game has money at stake, so that always makes it more exciting in sport as well, right? For me, it's something new because in my times we didn't have this exact breaking down the money to every single game. But this format, I think it makes it interesting for the audience also, and of course the fans can be rooting for their players, their favorite, their idols. But we're going to see two Chinese players. So I wonder how many Chinese viewers there is or following in different ways from different points, because it is going to be a great fun, I think.
Absolutely. It's going to be a great fight. Wenjun faces off against Hou Yifan. And yeah, you mentioned, Judith, all about the different formats, and that has been the beauty of this whole event, in my opinion. It has been rounds of classical blitz chess, played at a time control of 5+1, and now in the finals, everything has been just amped up in the semifinals and the finals. Instead of 45 minutes, we have 75 minutes. So this means that there's going to be a real test of nerves and endurance. Then half an hour of 3+1. And finally, 25 minutes of the most insane action that you always get when you play a bullet chess. It's a lot of energy on the board.
Absolutely. And it's also interesting that, of course, in an online event, you don't know, you're not playing every single day. You don't have a rhythm of the tournament, right? I mean, if you play over the board or even another event online, you have the rhythm, everybody plays at the same time, or I mean, you know the days. And here it was like you have a 1 day break and then you go in 2 days time you continue. So I think it's not so easy to keep up mentally for generally that you may have a few days when you don't play and then suddenly you play. And of course, when we talk about this specifically, the 3-4 hours that they have to shift from 5 minutes to 3 minutes, from 3 minutes, when you get used to each time control, it's time to change because we want more blood, the audience. Yeah. It's getting shorter and shorter and shorter. So the players are tested very much how they can handle it, their nerves, their endurance, their everything. How, as sport people, athletes, how strong can they be?
Absolutely. This, I feel, is the ultimate test because you're right. We have seen comebacks, we've seen winning streaks. We've also seen the fact, especially at this longer time control, where the players are on that winning streak and then suddenly there's a halftime break and suddenly the players have to readjust. The players who were winning really wanted the games to just keep on flowing, whilst those players who were struggling suddenly get that pause and are able to reset, refocus. It has been all about the chess, but of course, there is that extra element of the emotions. There's also a test of nerves. And these two just giants of the game. 5-time current women's world champion Zhu Wenjun playing against 4-time former women's world champion Hou Yifan. Hou Yifan is also one of the highest is the highest rated female on the FIDE rating list. So it's nice to see her play in these online and also speed events.
Oh yeah, oh yeah! I can't wait for them to start the first game. And as far as I see, Ju Wenjun will be starting with the white pieces. And I don't know what you think about the color. Does it make any difference playing with white or black in these blitz game matches?
It it did make an impact in one particular match, and that was when it came down to bullets. And it was a match in the round of 16 between Mary Arabitsa and Polina Shivalova, because the player who had the white pieces won. And so it was very important to finish with the white pieces, and that's exactly what Polina did. And she just managed to edge it out to the next quarterfinals. So here we're seeing knight to f3. That was a question on our lips. How was Ju Wenjun going to open? And she does it in a very quiet way. So there is no e4, e5s to begin with.
We are going to see some very slow kind of position. English we can transpose, or I don't even know. Of course, we're going to see g3, bishop g2 as well, or at least that's what I'm expecting. But I believe the two ladies should know each other pretty much. They must be following each other. I don't know how much they were playing in tournaments. Of course, Ju Wenjun is younger. It's the next generation. Hou Yifan is already professor for quite some years and working as such. So probably they were kind of avoiding already in time to play.
Yes, I can recall one event where they played. They played in Gibraltar in 2017. I was actually doing commentary there, and Zhu Wenjun won a rather fantastic game against Hou Yifan with the black pieces. But doing my research, I don't think I've ever seen these two players actually play a match. And for me, that's very exciting.
Well, it is going to be very exciting. It's very clear that Zhu Wenjun is a great blitz player. I mean, she showed it. She won also a blitz world championship, right?
She did.
And Hou Yifan, I don't know how good is her blitz generally. I mean, she showed she's in the final, so obviously she's pretty good. But for example, I don't know how much she was practicing when she was little or younger, how much it was part of her preparation. Like for me, it was part of my preparation to play games, blitz games, but it was 5 minutes only.
Yeah, definitely. I also grew up on the streets of Blitz. I was playing thousands of games against my brother, but it wasn't so much a class. Well, there was a lot of classical chess as well. But I do think that with this younger generation, it's very clear that they play a lot of Blitz. But I'm also curious when it comes to Hou Yifan, because I wonder whether they've transitioned from over the board blitz to online blitz, because it is another kettle of fish. And there we're seeing that Hou Yifan, she's gone for a very stable structure, now putting pressure against c4. So the big question for white is, what to do. Do you capture it in the center? I suspect that we're not going to be seeing moves like that. Instead, I suspect that we might be seeing moves like knight to d2. But this is something that we did see Zhu Wenjun do in her match yesterday against Polina Shuvalova.
Well, Zhu Wenjun made an incredible performance yesterday against Shuvalova. That was very clear that she was in great form. And I think it can be also good that she was having this day, that she was so clearly the favorite. Clearly, she showed that what is was expected from looking her rating and her strength, he could show it, perform it over the board as well. But of course, today she plays against a much stronger rival and player who has much more experience also than Shuvalova, and at least as much hunger, I think, that she wants to collect again the title. E4.
Absolutely. E4, I mean, it was to be expected. Zhu Wenjun, she loves to get that stable structure and then just take the space. I mean, she's very good in these strategic positions. And it's great to read the comments from chat, especially when they're cheering on their favorite players. And I do also agree. I think Yifan has a good black openings. Yes, she has very solid black openings. She is also, I remember when I was playing Hou Yifan many years ago, she knew when to go solid and she knew when to sharpen things up.
You know what is very interesting? If you look at the two players' body language or face language, because we see only their hands and face, I mean, they sit there like if it would be a classical game. And look at the clock. I mean, yesterday we've seen everything was much faster. And now, like both players, okay, we are very calm. Look, we are only at move 12, and basically Zhu Wenjun spent more half of her time already. And also, Hou Yifan is playing pretty slowly, carefully, thinking it over, because somehow they are in this mindset that, okay, 5 minutes, it's not a bullet. Let's take the time until I figure it out. I think in this match, I see it the most. Of course, we'll see in the upcoming games whether it's going to be the same pattern, that they really spend their time and trying to make good use of this 5 minutes and to start playing blitzing when they're really forced to do that because they are running out of time. But for the moment, I see that they both spend a lot of time. So this is a pawn sacrifice right now because black can capture the pawn on c4. So this is the question. If, let's say, takes, why is this so good for white? I mean, obviously this pawn is very powerful, fast pawn. At the same time, I don't see why it is so bad for black.
I would be very tempted to take it. It's also very tempting just to leave that pawn on c4 because it is a liability. And bishop takes c4 is always on the agenda and something that white will have to deal with on every single move. So you just develop and just improve your pieces. But the main question as a pawn grabber is, yeah, just take it and hang on a second. The knight goes out to e8. And I have a rule in life. When you go back, I go forward. So the first move that I thinking of is to go forward. I'm thinking of a knight b5 or knight to e4, something moving things along.
I'm wondering maybe to play bishop a3 with white,
a3.
which forces the black to go knight c5. And after that, maybe to go knight e4 or improve my position. At the same time, I think white has to be fast. But it was, for example, a very interesting moment in this game that the pawn was offered to Hou Yifan, and then she says, no, I don't want to take it. And you know what? It couldn't be because of concrete measures. It's intuition that she decided that no, she offers it, I'm not taking, I'm going to do it differently. I don't have the time to figure it out, I don't have the time to calculate it. So intuitively, she says, no, I just play 98, right? So, and we'll see who is going to be right about it. But for sure, bishop c4 was expected by Wenjun because she offered that pawn. Though I'm not so sure that it was on deliberately when she played d5, or she thought that this is still the best because she has enough compensation for that. So let's see what black is up to after knight e4. Is she going to be playing knight d6 or possibly playing f5? No, knight takes e4. Okay,
That makes a lot
works.
of sense. It
Yeah,
is a
but
sacrifice.
takes. But my question is, what happens if white is going to take it back with this knight? And it's on the board. What about that rook? Eventually, black is giving up material.
Yes. But in return, you get some good minor pieces. And there we are seeing, you get a good center. So I'm thinking along the lines of going f5, e4, trying to lock out this bishop on g2, try to establish some good squares. Interesting, king takes f8. Because
You know
on
what?
principle, yes,
I'm gonna go knight d6.
knight d6.
I'm gonna go knight d6 because I want to grab this white square bishop. That's a good defender. But okay, this is
Yeah,
not
that
what
looks very
happened.
good.
She wants to go rook d1, bishop takes. But white has a fantastic position. I mean, look at these weaknesses, the d7 square. If the rook will be able to enter there, oof.
Yeah, you need to transport that knight from e8 to d4, and then you can talk about compensation. But for the time being, hey, you got to work with what you have, right? So maybe
Probably
time
rook
to
c7.
rook c7, right? Rook to
Or
d7 was
knight
in the air.
d6. Knight d6 on the
Yeah,
board.
and okay, but now you can go knight to f5, and you can do your knight. Well, my knight to d4. So knight to d4
Not yet.
isn't actually possible because of this pin against the queen.
Well, the time is taking an important role already because Hou Yifan under 20 seconds. Well, Wenjun is 35.
Yes, but it's a very tough job there for Hou Yifan to keep finding the moves to try and maintain some kind of balance. Okay, she's much because she is down material, but okay, now we have something. What about jumping in with a knight to? Yeah, you couldn't do that because of rook takes knight, so knight to d6.
Well, of course, it's very difficult to play it with black because I just taken queen c6 here, I believe. Rook b1 also.
No rook.
But queen c6 is
No.
rook d1.
Yep.
And this is the problem, that the d6 knight is not defendable. If black could be playing bishop f8 and defend the knight, that would have been a completely other story. But now the rook is on the 7th. White is, well, she could also take this pawn, I think. But okay, she preferred to take immediately, grab the. Very, very impressive game by Zhu.
Yeah, it was definitely in her element, right? She played the game that she very much is superior in, a strategic game. I like this kind of calculated sacrifice of the pawn. But we're on to game two, and it's Hou Yifan who has the white pieces. Can she strike back? We have seen, Hou Yifan did have a slow start against Divya, but she was able to turn things around with a 3+1. And we'll see what Hou Yifan does bring to the table. Well, she's gone for this bishop c4 variation. It's funny because Hou Yifan, in the very first match she played against Ambat Samova, went to this Italian game, but she abandoned it in future matches because Ambat Samova was playing very aggressively with h6 g5. But she knows she's not going to get that kind of response from Wenjun. So instead,
She's not that player. She's not the h6 g5 player.
yeah. So you can kind of introduce it back in.
Yeah. And I'm always wondering how much the players are preparing for specifically for the Blitz game. Because I remember many years ago already when I was wondering whether the top players like Grishchuk or Anand or other top guys, that when they play in classical tournament, how much do they have material where they work for classical game? And there are some ideas they decide, okay, this is too risky to play in a classical one, but this will be good in a rapid one. Or they can say that, okay, this will be good on an Armageddon one. Because in those times we didn't have, we had playoff and Armageddon, but no bullet. But I think probably the players who are real professionals, they must have separate databases for themselves that, okay, these things I can play in Blitz, or I can go for rapid because it's not so good, but for one game it's really cool, especially if the opponent has not enough time and it comes as a surprise.
Absolutely, I agree with you. I mean, we'd had David Howell on the stream a few weeks ago or a few days ago, and he was saying that when he was playing these blitz matches, he came armed with 3 repertoires, and they were specifically designed for blitz. They were tricky in places. There was a repertoire for a must-win situation with the black pieces, and here we're seeing that Hou Yifan is the one actually. Talking about blitz repertoires, she's come with this Italian, and she's gotten what she loves. She's got that strong center, very natural play for the pieces. And it is Hou Yifan, sorry, it is Zhu Wenjun who is going to be struggling here, with this lack of space.
Absolutely. White has a beautiful position, gained the center. To tell you the truth, I'm not sure that. This is definitely something White is aiming for, right? To force Black to give up the center. So this pawn on e5 is kind of completely missing from this position for Black. And at some point, White can go to play d5, and then to play knight d4, also to go rook c1. This pawn is behind the c7 pawn. Okay, so Hou Yifan is playing straightforward, wondering if she's going to play, okay, rook c1 first, very logical, all her pieces are playing. Now the question is she going to play queen b3? It's on the board. Knight d4, knight c4, knight a5. So there can be a lot of pressure done on the queen. Ooh, look at this hole.
Yes, knight d4
That's
immediately.
That's
now the
painful.
knight is heading to f5, c6. Yeah, it's going to be sitting very pretty on the c6 square. And now how to get that breakthrough.
Well, it's hard for me to think that Hou Yifan can ruin this. I think she will not. She played so healthy and confident moves so far.
Can you go queen b5?
Rook e3.
I love this move.
What do you think? Why did she play this?
She wants to double up the c line. And I'm also thinking that she's got queen b5 ideas, trade off queens, and just take it to a nice endgame. And did you make that move, or did I guess correctly?
You guessed correctly. I just made the arrow, and she went for it.
Okay. Well, it makes a lot of sense, right? You have a nice positional outpost on c6 for a piece. c7 is the natural target. All you have to do is prevent a black knight going to c5, and all is good with the white position. A lot of pressure.
Incredibly lot of pressure, and right now immediately if black would be taking, it would not be possible. Hanging on c7, and after rook e7, knight d6, immediately some material down. b6 was a very serious, risky, strategical positional move. Absolutely, because 3 moves later, I mean, it's huge advantage for white, no question about it. And the big problem is that it's one way. They're very difficult to find counter chances for black. So positionally, it's like typical thing when I was a kid. They said, no, 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 no. You never play b6. You don't give this kind of c6 squares away. No, you do everything in order that if you have to do something like this, you have a huge problem with your position already. We have moves.
Yeah.
Sorry, knight e5 played and rook ec3. Doubling the rook on the c file. Asking serious questions from Wenjun. How are you going to be able to defend yourself?
Exactly.
And
Big threat on
she
the
has
board
no
of queen
answer.
takes queen.
She has no
Rook
answer
takes
to that.
e7. No, but maybe she can rely on some counterplay against e4. You know, there. Okay,
Okay,
she
queen
steps back with the
e7, knight
queen.
f5, queen d8.
Okay, well, it's not pretty, but then again, sometimes you just have to do what needs to be done. And she does have the idea of going knight to d7, knight to c5. I feel like if black is able to get a knight to c5, then some of the problems will go away.
Well, the thing is, what is the biggest chance right now for Wenjun to escape in this game? That suddenly there are so many ways tempting continuation for white, because you have these rooks on the c file putting more pressure, but at the same time, sometimes you toy with an idea that actually rook g3 can be also quite annoying. And g6 is played, giving up the pawn on h6, but I believe it's not possible to take because of king g7. So white will have
There's
to
no
be
need.
moving away back to d4.
Exactly. There's no need to invite the complications after knight takes h6, even though you can drop back with a knight to g4. Instead, you can keep beautiful control with knight to d4, as you mentioned. And also now, f4, f5 comes with a hook. And what are we seeing? Knight to d4. Yeah. So Hou Yifan, very natural player. By that, I mean that she just puts her pieces on good squares and looks to coordinate absolutely everything to perfection. And still, the rook on c3 is a fantastic potential attacker on the king side. It can swing over to g3. So Wenjun has to be careful on both flanks.
Knight h5, basically the only move, no question about it. Completely the only move. Trying to look for counter chances by knight f4, even though that she sacrificed, blundered, it doesn't matter. Still, knight h5 was the only move, I think.
Okay,
I mean, you
well,
have to
now
look
it's
for
time
critical
to.
chances.
But the question is, how can you look for the counter chances when the rook on e8 is constantly hanging?
I don't know, probably
So
I would
was
just take
dreaming.
I would
Yeah,
just
I would
take it
also take it
twice.
as well.
Queen
And
e8,
then just
king
let
g7.
the rook fall.
The problem is that you can go knight c6 and you stop my queen from coming into the c1, c1, c2, c1 area of white camp. But
Yeah.
it's just so awful
And
already, that position.
yeah, and I mean, I know black is probably dreaming about, either getting an open line, as you mentioned, the C line. I also was dreaming about putting a queen on G5 and knight on F4 and thinking about checkmate on G2 or some kind of counterplay. Because if black is just passive, then black is simply going to be squashed. And then we see on the clock, 20 seconds is ticking down for Zhu Wenjun. And is she going to be capturing absolutely everything? She maneuvers a knight over to f4. well, you might as well threaten something aggressive.
Well, you might as well just come back with the rook to c3, controlling the third rank, the c5. The black queen is still tied down to the e8 rook. That's why rook e8 is played, so to free the d8 queen. Two verse to go to e5 or h4 or somewhere, two verse to the king side. But I
Yeah.
can't say that black is having a worse position than 5 moves ago. At least she has some breathing opportunities, you know? Her pieces are standing good. Not enough pawns left. Okay, this I understand. But when you have 15 seconds, this is not so bad for black. G5.
Yeah.
Look at
It
G5.
would
And
do
Juventus
and
plays G5. Must be something
would she have
really
to?
serious going on. G4.
She had her back against the wall. G4 is going to be appearing on the boards, and Hou Yifan does have seconds left on the clock. And Zhu Wenjun is doing what she has to do. She has to initiate chaos. She has to mix things up. And we're in danger time, right? This is the moment where you have to be on high alert. In red alert, you must be looking at all the tactical opportunities. The Zhu Wenjun, she's trying. I like what she's doing, but Hou Yifan just keep in control.
Rook e4. She had rook e4. Okay,
Yeah.
again, she can play. But of course, with
But the
2 seconds on your clock, you don't have time with your mouse to choose.
No, it's just the hand, and the rook can swing over. Big threat of checkmate on h8, so that gets blocked, and the d6 pawn falls, and with it, the clock, and Hou Yifan, she strikes back. And both of these players seem to have already, worked out exactly how to play the opening. I mean, Zhu Wenjun got an ideal start in game one. Hou Yifan doing amazing things with the white pieces. So we'll see whether she will go for the same knight to f3, b3 that was so successful in game one, or is she going to switch it up already? So knight to f3. So Hou Yifan now has to play. Is she going to go knight f6, g6?
I have the feeling that they are not going to be switching that early their opening. Like we've seen Zhu Wenjun yesterday, she was not switching it really so fast from one opening to another. And I completely understand that. She says, okay, this is what I'm going to play. I don't waste my energy shifting and changing in every game to different openings. Because after all, they do get chances, and so it's I think it's completely logical that they play it out what they prepared before. Okay.
Well, we see a switch. We see some changes that the bishop has gone to b7 as opposed to a6. So there is that. And Zhu Wenjun, she be loyal to this idea of going knight to f3, knight to d2, try and break on e4.
But interestingly, that both of the games, when after the opening, it gave the direction, and then basically that was the game result. Like in the first game, Zhu Wenjun had a good opening. Well, there was sacrifice of the pawn, but otherwise she had the upper hand. She won. In the next game, Hou Yifan basically had a good opening. She went all the way through, so there was no blunder, no maybe inaccuracies, but generally speaking, it was a nice bounce back by Hou Yifan. Okay, e3.
Very. Yes. And now the question for black is, do you race with your c5 break? Do you prepare it a little bit with bishop d6, queen e7, connect the rooks, and then c5? And she goes bishop d6.
She goes bishop d6, knight d2.
Mm-hmm. And then now e4 is being threatened, so go c5.
Yeah, but actually queen e7, maybe it's also possible, because bishop a3 is something that black might want to eliminate this bishop on b2.
You requested it. It has been played. And look at this. The poll is close, but Zhu Wenjun, our chat believes that has a 56% chance of winning. Hou Yifan 44%. Wow. But I mean, I couldn't call it, and I'm just too excited to watch the games. A3, well, big threat of kind of B4, C5. I call this particular pawn structure with B4 and C5 for white the amp, because if you get it done, back it up with F4 and like literally suffocate black. And instead, we're seeing captures on D5 and C5. The breakout has begun.
Yeah, this A3 was interesting that it was against bishop A3 mainly, but I think white might have been losing important tempi. Knight C4, yes. This is a typical idea when you have a bishop fianchetto and you have a bishop on B7, which is not protected. So knight C4 is a possibility. Though I wonder what if black moves the bishop to C5, I believe that white wants to take on C5 and going to be wondering whether can I take this D5 in the next move. The question is would black take on C4, take on B7, rook A7, bishop comes back, and then exchanging pawns? But it seems at first that it benefits white.
Yeah, bishop C7 was more in Hou Yifan's style, I would say. You know, keep things tense, and now just connect the rooks. You see A8, D8, and just get ready to support on D5. I mean, because one of the things that Hou Yifan does have is that she always has this potential knight jump into E4 once she gets the rook behind the central pawns, and no hanging pawns. Instead, knight takes C5. So she is getting ready to with the knight to E4 to block things. But okay, now the big focus is just to put the rooks on C8, D8, get them active, support all of the pieces. And question for Wenjun.
But I think it's a big question. It's a very big question because after black's last move from C5, she's defending the bishop on B7. So actually, black is threatening to take the knight and get the extra piece. And now I don't see how white is going to be playing the knight D5. You know what's the trick? The knight D5, bishop D5, rook D8 would be falling into the queen G4 move. So this is why it's not so simple.
Yep, and you can't go F5 of the pin.
So after knight D5,
Judith, I saw a very nice comment just now in the chat. Sorry to interrupt your analysis, but I thought it was so good. Like, Judith, we've got Hou Yifan, we've got Zhu Wenjun, like the three strongest women in the history of chess, all in one competition, all in one event. I'm very privileged.
Yeah, it's a nice setup.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a pawn. Well, okay, the b3 is there, but white, at first I thought white has a nice position, but knight b3, I guess.
And it's always there, right? Because you could go rook to d8, ask question to the queen, and then capture on b3.
Yeah. Yeah, in what form are you ready to take on b3? Rook d8 first.
Yeah. And also, you got to take an eye on this knight on c4, because say you're careless with your queen move, b5 will come, and there's going to be questions as to where that knight will go.
So this is what you want to say, that if white moves away with the queen, then you want to go this.
Yeah.
Yes. That's a very unexpected news. Wow. Okay, it's not about the b3 pawn, what circumstances I would be taking. It's about surviving with the c4 knight.
And that's why actually finds the best move in the position, Queen f5. Yeah, she needed to give it a safe square, and e5 was the only haven for it. So good move. Also, Queen f5 may even start. There you see b5 being played, and now you have to go knight to e5. It's the only rescue spot for the knight.
Now, until the moment you have one good square, you can't complain too much. But it's the only
No,
move.
it is the only move. But knight e5 also comes with some point, because you're threatening knight to 6 as well. So Wenjun playing some great moves. But we see some hesitation from Zhu. I mean, what could she be thinking of? I mean, you can't go queen to g4 because of f covers absolutely everything. And knight to e5 is like such a multi-purpose move. You're threatening knight c6, you can there, okay, it comes in. And it's close.
Interesting. Just Hou Yifan just grabbed on e5, trying to simplify the position. Though after bishop e5, rook d5 seems to be very unpleasant for white. So forcing a
Yes.
queen exchange, and there. But maybe there is some material thing. But now rook d5.
Ooh, whoa. Well, bishop to e5 has been played, and wow, look at this.
But why knight b3? You know what
E5.
is another idea for black? To go knight d2, and then take on e5, and then knight c3 check.
Yeah,
So that can
absolutely.
be an idea for black.
But if you have to go rook a2,
She's giving up
well,
the exchange. No, because bishop b4. Nice idea.
mhm.
Nice try to save. And they seconds and she finds it.
Just 22 seconds on the clock. Well, okay, so how does black keep the hopes alive? So I'm also thinking that you can go queen to d7, go on the counterattack.
Well, now it's a question. Yeah, queen d7, exchange everything, grabbing the f8 rook, takes rook endgame, and black rook is more active. But probably she's trying to look for more and hesitating, is there anything? But she didn't find anything more. She spent, though, 20 seconds or maybe more, which was a bit too much.
Mhm. Okay, well, this was the idea, was just to simply. I was thinking about that, but I thought it was safer to go into the rook and pawn game. And here you start harassing the bishop and just have an eye on this pawn on a3.
It's a
Well, the
question
bishop's going
whether
to retreat
this
to the same spot.
knight on c2. The problem is for black, she got a much worse version of rook endgame
Yeah.
than she could. If she could just take on f8 back, then her rook would be here on d3.
Yes, and everything in the rook and pawn endings tend to hinge on having an active rook, and Zhu Wenjun certainly has that. She also has a very mobile pawn structure, but not too much time on the clock, as we see Hou Yifan going down to 4 seconds on the clock.
Yeah. And then okay. Rook g7. Rook g7.
G7.
Oi, oi, oi. King. Ooh.
Beautiful.
Oh, what a painful loss for Hou Yifan. This was very unnecessary.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, she played so well, and she was on the verge. I mean, I think she must have been kicking herself with after queen to d7. That was a great find. She just didn't back it up in the most accurate of ways, and and she went in giving us a smile. It- it's nice when the universe works like that, Judith. Something that ultimately you should not have won, you turn it around, and the ball is back in Hou Yifan's court. Now I'm going to be curious. E4 worked really well for Hou Yifan. Will she continue with
Yeah,
that winning
she is.
strategy? Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely, she's back to the same.
Hmm. And the question for Zhu Wenjun is she gonna be sticking to the same method? We see the bishop coming to e6.
Yeah, but at
It's
this
like
point, I can say that black is better developed because white was wasting time with a4, keeping back a little bit the development, where to put the b1 knight to c3 or d2. But black is doing everything very healthy and straightforward. Like she does the very classical way of developing, right? This is what we learned when we were kids. Make a central pawn move, bring your knights out, bring your bishop out, make your castling. After that, queen d7 would be the next move, right? h6. So very, very classical way of handling it.
Yeah, that was back in a time when chess almost followed a formula, did I remember I was so happy when I was a kid when I discovered these things. I was like, yes, yes, I have solved chess. I have immediately gained a lot of points. But no, modern day chess is not like that at all. I mean, they're doing all kinds
Modern
of weird
chess
and
is
wonderful things
something
and
hard to
doing
follow.
absolutely. Well, we see some trades, and now there was no knight to d2, but it's a different type of position where black has a ready-made attack down the f line, and for white, it's a question of organizing your pieces in the most constructive way.
Yeah, of course, queen belongs to b3 in many of these kind of positions, trying to put pressure on both two pawns, e6 and b7, though queen d7 is just perfectly fit and protecting the e6, but also connecting the rooks. I really like black's position, even though the bar is telling us, oh, white has such a beautiful position.
Yes, I like it, but on the other hand, I saw Magnus Carlsen play against this particular pawn structure, I think in the World Championship match back in 2013 against Vishy Anand. And there, what he did is he just went for d4, went for a knight on c4, and he sat there. And he enjoyed that pressure because one of the things about these doubled e pawns is that there's no easy way to advance them. There's no way to kind of make them do something. They just provide an open F line. And in the hands of Magnus Carlsen, this was just a dangerous thing. What can I say?
Well, in Magnus Carlsen's hand, many of the position is dangerous for the opponent. But it indeed, what you said about these two pawns, these double pawns, it is very tricky. It's extremely tricky because, first of all, of course, you have to play for a long, long, long term game. At the same time, black goes rook f7. She might just go double the rook on f8. She goes knight h5 or knight h7 if maybe it's safer because the h5 can be attacked. It's you have to understand and be familiar with these positions, not to make serious mistake. d4, breaking in the center.
Well, the question is now moved over to black. What are you going to do with this pawn on e5 that is currently under threat? I think this was absolutely necessary. I know the evaluation bar shrunk down a little bit, but I do think that this was the correct way because black did have that ready-made attack, like of doubling, and then, as you mentioned, just setting things up. And at least here, it's the onus is on white. How are you gonna be handling the activity? Because knight h5, knight f4 might be coming at the right time. But on the flip side, black has to be calculating on every move. What happens after e5? What happens after d5? What happens if the queen comes to b3? I mean, there's so many questions. It's a very complicated, very tense position, Judith.
It is very tense, but with black, I want to play only one move, one small move with my knight. I go to h7, and after that, I just want to hit on f3.
Well, you might get your
Knight
wish.
h7,
Because probably, yeah, knight
knight
h7.
h7, and the
Yeah,
f3
it's
is
coming.
is is going to be taken, unless white is playing rook e3 or knight c4 to d2 to protect it. But I want to ruin the pawn structure of white. D5, very
This is where
concrete reaction.
exactly, it's like the big battle of ideas, right? You know, white is going for that pawn center, and yeah, knight to g5 now incoming. So white has to find a way to keep maintaining the pressure. Can you just like pour fuel onto the fire and go e5?
I just wanted to say e5, how beautiful it looks like on the board to play e5 and to have this. Look at this, 4 pawns there if after e5. It's very tempting to play that.
Yeah.
Very tempting.
But is
But
it any good? This is the question.
yeah, I just wanted to ask, okay, e5 is a beautiful move, but after that I'm taking this rook f3, sacrificing the exchange, takes, and I go knight g5. And
Okay.
then you try
The
to
rook-
pull yourself together, how you save yourself.
Yeah. And
Maybe it's not going to be funny.
no,
Funny after all.
no, it looks scary, Judith. So in that case, rook e3. That has to be played. Rook takes f3 was just way too dangerous for white. So yeah, do some repair work on the king side.
This d8 knight, though, is really bad for black. Knight g5. Good continuation. But look at that. Hou Yifan is under a minute. Huge time deficit.
Yeah, that is a big problem actually for Hou Yifan because the action is just brewing as well.
But it's the first
And the
time
knight
there's
has
a
to come back.
huge difference in time. I've
Yeah,
been
and
thinking
it's
with black
really
to
not
play
ideal.
e5. What do you think about playing e5? And you know what's my plan are.
Yeah, you want to
I have
go
my
for
friends
something.
eyeing to h3 pawn.
Exactly.
e5 is on the
I knew that
board.
was coming.
Good.
And 40 seconds to handle this one. Probably you go king h2 just to kind of get rid of those naughties.
Rook
But
c1.
wow, rook c1. Either
Good
she's
nerve.
confident in her king safety, but the knight on d8 isn't great. So I guess you could start trying to improve that one by knight
Playing rook
b7,
f4.
knight c5.
Or to go rook f4, knight d8 to f7. That's also
Yes.
an idea.
Oh.
Well, if black is gonna play smart, she can create some nice ideas. Rook f4.
I like rook f4 as well. Also, you kind of killed any ago bishop takes e5. That was also in the air with the rook on f7. But now we're seeing that things are shifting in Zhu Wenjun's
Rook
favor.
f3.
As,
Rook f3.
oh, the rook on c1. It is loose. Yeah, rook f3.
Yeah, winning
2 minutes on
material.
the clock. She finds it. And yeah, this is not great. Can you just go queen takes h3?
This
And
is what
then-
Wenjun is thinking about. Should I go queen h3 first, or should I take the rook? If you take first, yeah, rook is a rook, and the pawn will be taken anyway.
That is true.
Queen f3 and knight
Hou Yifan,
f7.
seconds left on the clock, 32 seconds, and she has to find a way to just knit her position together. She has counterplay against c7, so there is that, but she is just simply a pawn down. And Zhu Wenjun has a lot of time left on the clock, so there's a very real possibility that we could be going into the half-time break with Zhu Wenjun in the lead. 2 points in the lead.
Well, this is the question. Is she going to have a lead, and how much of lead? Because here she has a great chance to collect one more point and lead 3-1. Knight f7, check, h7.
You can pick up another pawn on e4. It is falling. You can also...
Queen e6. What about just h5?
Well, that's mean, Judith. You just want to go all the way to h3 and
Well, bishop e3 and then queen f5 exchange. maybe.
Hmm. Also wondering whether there are any possibilities to pick up a pawn and then give some checks to win the bishop, but you don't need to because the king on h7 isn't particularly safe. But wow, take the knight. Take the knight and
Yeah,
take.
but she started to spend too much time, and suddenly she made a move.
Yeah, but it's the
But this she's
quality of
not
the
gonna
pawn, it's
win.
not the quantity. Yeah,
But
the
she's not
d
going to
pawn
win
is
this.
mighty strong.
I mean, this pawn is going to give like the d5.
It's going to give a headache. It's going to force black to repeat the position.
Oh,
And we have repetition. Wow, Ju and Jun somewhat spoiling what could have been a golden opportunity to extend her lead by 1 point. There, it
absolutely.
is 2.5, 1.5. But Ju and Jun with the white pieces has been playing her kind of game. What do you think Hou Yifan needs to do if she wants to narrow that gap?
Play better. Sorry to be so simple, but so far Wenjun is playing a bit better. I think what the result shows is completely correct because she missed some opportunities. I mean, in this game, Wenjun should have won. At the time, we have to say that it was completely okay. I mean, at some point, it was pretty promising for White as well. It's only that when Hou Yifan went down in time heavily, that was a problem. That caused her the real problem. And Wenjun took over.
Absolutely. And Judith just nailed it on the head there. What the players have to do if they want to extend their lead or make that comeback, it is play better. Well, they're going to have a few minutes just to readjust, reset, refocus for the second half of the 5+1 portion. And in the meantime, we're going to go on a break. See you in a few minutes. We are back with the final of the Women's Speed Chess Championship. Winner will be walking away today. Very, very happy a champion will be crowned. And it is the second portion of the 5+1. So far, Wenjun, she has a 1-point advantage over Hou Yifan. And it could have been a lot more. It could have been 2 points. But we will see what the players will be bringing to the table as they come armed to the teeth. I mean, it's about wanting it as well, Judith, right? It's an important match. It's a title at stake. I mean, you have to presume that the way that they're playing and the way they seem to have prepared things, that these two players, they really want this one.
Yeah, and it's the first match where I feel that they are playing pretty much very controlled. They are self-controlling themselves, that spend the time not to play too fast, think it over. But of course, it's a very difficult thing, how to manage your time. It is very challenging. So 2.5, 1.5 lead by Wenjun. It is a great start, but basically nothing is really bad happened to Hou Yifan. I mean, it's just the beginning of the match. She had her opportunities. She was lucky in some game, but nothing really happened. I mean, it's only 1 point behind. It's nothing. It's just the day will be long, and she will need her luck and energy and strategy and mindset in the upcoming few hours. She can easily turn it around.
Absolutely. Well, anything can happen. We have seen players in this competition go on winning streaks. We have seen incredible comebacks. We have seen absolutely everything. And it's now in the hands of these two competitors. Hou Yifan, now playing with the black pieces. Wenjun has been in impressive shape. She switches up from an early knight f3 to playing d4, knight f3. Now, will she back this up with c4? No, she goes for a fianchetto system. Hou Yifan just sticking to one of her tried and tested openings, the Queen's Indian. Now, oh no, now this is a double fianchetto.
Yeah, and I think white is already better. This d5, usually if white is able to do that and after that stabilize with the knight, this special pawn on d5, it blocks so much this bishop on b7. So that's why this d5 pawn is so powerful. And it's a very logical and typical reaction by black, bringing out the knight, immediately taking advantage of the d5, that she can bring out the knight very actively. Black will be playing a5, so white is not able to push b4 and push away the knight from c5, where it just jumped in. White probably knight d4 is also something that they like to be continuing after d5 and after making space and opportunity for e4. e6, black is trying to break up the center.
Interesting though, because I've had people play this against me with the black pieces, and they've always gone castles, and then they've met knight to d4 with e5, just unbalancing the pawn structure in that way. But well, there's a very real risk here for Hou Yifan, that if she does not do something right now, then e4 is going to be coming, and white will simply have a very strong center, and it's going to be very difficult for black to get that counterplay. And it's the type of position that Wenjun excels in, where she has that extra space. She has mobility for the pieces. a5, no, I'm not liking the direction this is going in, Judith. I feel like a5 maybe wasn't the most precise move as of yet.
Well, the problem is that if you don't play a5, then you might as well get in trouble. And after that, capturing on e6. So, I mean, it seems like now that we see what was the follow-up move for white, e5 could have been played in one move, right? As you said it before. Black could have the castling move already there. But tempes are not necessarily so important in these positions, while the structure is very important and very promising for white, because having this space advantage for white with having a huge center with the pawn c4, e4, and look at that f4, It's kind of interesting. Juventus usually is not so aggressive already such an early phase of the game. She's more solid, developing. I mean, she could play b3, she could play a3, bishop e3, immediately going for it.
Yeah, which is actually a little bit surprising. I mean, we did see Ju Wenjun in her round of 16 match against Anastasia Avramidou do something similar, and it backfired. She pushed way too hard. She was provoked enough. So maybe this is Hou Yifan's strategy, because as you mentioned earlier, when you're playing blitz, you don't have to play correct chess. You just have to try to understand and get under the skin of your opponent. And there we see it looks great for white, but black's position is solid now.
It is a very unusual position, I must say. I don't think I've ever seen this maneuver with white. To go from f3 all the way to d4, b5, a3, landing your knight on a3. At the same time, you made some very active moves with your pawn, right? From f2 to all the way to f5. Interesting that black did not play d6. So this way, after knight e8, knight d6 was available, square for the knight. So while white has a huge space advantage, I really don't like this knight on a3. Obviously, who would? But I don't know if white will have enough time to recover from that pawn, that knight. But this bishop is also something I would not be proud of. And it's very hard if black is going to play bishop a6 and trying to put pressure on the c4 pawn. But it's very difficult for black, generally speaking. I mean, some people, I think, would say that black is lost strategically.
I would be in that category as well. But on the other hand, because I love this type of position with white, and it is white that has the free hand. Like you mentioned, bishop a6, that can easily be blunted by b3. And also, white is the one who has like queen to d2, bishop to h6 in the air, whereas black is the one who's struggling for a way to break through. I mean, I was looking at capturing on d5 while you were talking. Is this some way that you have to go, in order to open up the lines?
Yeah, I mean, it will be quite a big question for black how she wants to look for counter chances. That looks very logical what you're saying, to play c takes d5, and then waiting white. How is she going to be capturing back? Is it with the knight? And the b6 pawn can be also very vulnerable. So actually, the knight will not be able to jump away to e4, because then the knight on d5 and the bishop b6 can be there. Now I colored that board pretty much. G4. G4.
Oh,
Strengthening.
okay. Well, it's time, Judith. I think that black is on the verge of being squashed. G5, f6 is coming to lock down the king side. So you have to go, in my opinion, c takes d5. Otherwise, there's no space for black to fight with.
I'm not sure. I'm thinking as a King's Indian player to play bishop f6, for example, and trying to exchange the black square bishop on g5, or not. Even if white is not going to be allowing that I'm going to be exchanging, still this diagonal blocking the opportunity for white to push g5, h4, and stuff like that. Sometimes it can work, but yeah, you want to take on d5, yeah? Let's do some action.
Yes, but
Rook A
not
doesn't
this
seem
move,
to
though.
be the move.
Yeah. Your move
I
makes
don't
a lot of sense.
understand. What
Yeah,
is the
that one
sense of
doesn't.
Rook E8, you think?
Maybe a square for the bishop on f8.
That's what I
the
thought
only move that
also,
I can
bishop
see.
f8. But what do you think, how much chance there is that this bishop ever going to show up on c5? Having so many traffic with that knight. I mean, it's a traffic jam there, no? You're not able to
It's
move
not
those away.
pretty. No, I agree. Well, maybe her idea is just simply just to keep things rock solid. She always has that escape square for the bishop to f8, and then planning about
Queen
going c
f3.
takes d5.
I would
Is
go
this
queen
queen f3
f3
played?
now.
Yeah, that
No,
was
I
also.
played. It's my move.
That
I
was
go queen
also on my
f3.
vibe. And no, we see a take on c6.
Yeah, and g5. Also a nice idea.
g5.
I like actually d takes c6 generally, though I would have played queen f3, but I like g5, queen g4, rook d1 idea. Because counterplay. The question is, can black have counterplay, or it's only white who is playing for and entertaining herself? Now probably
Yeah.
the plan of black to go rook d8 and moving back this awful bishop to c8 and trying to put pressure on that. Yeah, you see. So now suddenly, after d takes c6, suddenly black has sense how to play the pieces.
That's true. With some clarification, and we see Hou Yifan, she's so good at this, but they're gonna have to bring their best because they're both now under the minutes. And that
You
is
know,
when things start to become unsettled.
I just want to go back to this point because it is so interesting in chess, the tension. When you have a tension with the pawns or with pieces, who takes it and how? Like here, for example, leaving the position and let black to take at some point c takes d5 is leaving a completely different game than white is taking e6, d takes c6, and suddenly everything is so different, right? Bishop c8, queen e2, rook d1, f6, bishop f8. So suddenly, what does white have apart from having this not very good knight on
Yeah.
a3? Well, bishop
Well,
c5
this
probably was a good move, not allowing knight e6.
and also
Uh,
this bishop on f8 can't get into the game. Let's face it. And this knight on d6, well, it needs to go all the way over to e6, and then it can find a very happy home there on d4. And that's exactly what Wenjun is doing. Sorry, Hou Yifan is doing. In it comes. This is anyone's fight.
but
I
look
almost
at
feel
the
like it's better
time.
for Hou Yifan.
Hou Yifan is having the moment of kicking back. Absolutely. The d4 square, how important it's going to be for the knight. Knight f4 is also tempting. h6, what an unpleasant move when you have 12 seconds. Queen e3,
Not
trying to
easy.
protect everything.
Okay, everything is protected, and now is the time for Hou Yifan just to jump in with a knight. Oh, this is nice actually because
Queen
now
d1. Queen
Queen
d1.
d1. Oi, oi, oi. The black queen is going to swoop in. Okay. On seconds, so she doesn't spot that opportunity. But you see the shake of the head from Wenjun. Now the black bishop is out of its cage, and the queen is going to just snake her way in. In she comes with a check. The e pawn is falling, and all of black's pieces are working beautifully now.
Yeah, this is gonna be a victory for Hou Yifan. That's how it stands. Hard for me to believe that.
Yeah.
But of course, it's never easy. It's never easy. That was not a good exchange for black. Even though black has a great advantage, but she still has to make those few moves. King h6, king
She's
h5.
Well, both players on survival mode here on the clock. As we see Hou Yifan tick down to almost 1 second on the clock. It is just instinct here.
And
And
white lost
Hou
some time.
Yifan wins on time.
With 1
Wow, but it
second
was
on
a
the
big
clock.
fight. And some
Equalized.
interesting lessons. Interesting lessons, though, from
Very
this
interesting
game. We
game.
saw that Hou Yifan came in with a deliberately provocative strategy, encouraging Wenjun to go forward. And with this time control, Wenjun just couldn't play the most precise moves. And now it's white. Hou Yifan's playing white, and we're seeing that Italian.
Yeah, there is no
C3,
change here
A4.
in the opening preparation. But I'm expecting actually the match to be tight as this one until the very end, because they are very similar in strength and also determination and experience they have similar as well, as they both played a lot of world championship matches. They played a lot of world class tournaments. They are both grandmasters, very similar in ratings. Hou Yifan was higher, better player at her peak. That's clear because she was like 2680 or something like that, and she could be a 2700 player easily, I think.
Yeah, very easily. Very,
But
very
she
easily.
quit
And
before that.
yes, I mean, she's a very smart person. She got the Rhodes Scholarship. She studied in Oxford. Now she's a professor, and it's very fascinating, how she can combine her professional career with playing chess as well. I mean, it's difficult. You have to fit chess around the semesters, and in the meantime, we see Zhu Wenjun. Well, she's getting her c5, knight to c6, very stable setup. But we saw something very similar in Hou Yifan's games against Katerina Lagno in the semis.
Yeah, Katarina was very much a Rai Lopez player, and we've seen many of these kind of games. While, yeah, White is playing for d4, but also she's ready to play knight to g3. Of course, these are very classical plans. Also, a4 sometimes in the air. And sometimes black goes d5, but it's kind of risky in many of the occasions. More preparation is needed for black for that.
Well,
h6.
still
Because
within the
whenever,
realms of theory.
yeah, but whenever white is ready to play d4, white can end up being tempo down compared to other openings. Did she play d4?
She did play d4, Judith. It was the main move that
I thought I
it's
played
been played
d4.
many times. And this is the whole idea. Capture back, everything gets trade off. White has a target on d6, but black is very active with the pieces. Knight takes d4
Yeah.
is what I'm expecting.
Are you ever playing Ryan Lopez, or you stick to your character?
Well, the problem is that I was encouraged to play the Archangel Lopez, which I did not appreciate is the sharpest Lopez there is around. And I was once completely wiped off the board by Natasha Bojkovic. I mean, it was some beautiful piece of preparation, lovely idea. And I think she sacrificed not one, but two rooks. And I thought, haha, this doesn't happen in my Caracan. So I gave it up.
Yeah. Okay, rook c8. Of course, that's the square for the rook. No question about it. Bishop b3, very typical. Exchanging the white square bishop. I always like these kind of positions to play it with white, even though it's not so easy to get advantage, and sometimes you have to be happy with something very small. But somehow I always felt very safe with white. Queen d7. Queen d7. Usually it's the place for the knight. But for the moment
I
it was
was
not
going to say,
possible to play because of the d6 pawn was hanging.
well, I was just checking the opening databases whilst we were talking, and Queen d7 is a new move, hasn't really been played according to my database. But d5 and a5 were the main tries for black. And
I'm
d5
sorry, but
certainly, if you can get it to work.
after queen d7 was bishop h6 a possibility?
Then, yes, it was very much a possibility.
Okay, maybe I shouldn't ask question. Rook d1, logical move.
Sometimes it happens, right? You trust your opponent. Queen to d7 came very quickly. They were still within the realms of theory. So, okay, rook to d1. And now the question is, what next for black? And
But chess is very interesting for me from many different angles. But for example, in chess, it so often happens that you don't have a threat, but when your opponent is making a move, suddenly there are new opportunities arise. So queen d7 leaves the knight on f6 unprotected, right? So this is why bishop h6 is a new idea. So you have to be so much alert in chess. You always have to look for the new opportunities in every move. Like queen e6, it means that the a7 square is not protected. Okay, big deal now, right? But there always, whatever happens, that there are new gates opens up. So that's why it's very difficult many times to play chess, because you have your own plan, but you have to adjust yourself to your opponent's plan, and also you have to okay, you have to respect your opponent, but not to trust your opponent completely, because they also make mistakes. Like if Magnus Carlsen made a mistake, a really bad move, obviously I was not saying that it's a really bad move. You say, well, the world champion, probably he has something in mind. Let's figure out what is that. Because we have
And
such a respect, right, for a great grandmaster, world champion, that obviously the first reaction is not that they blundered, but probably there is something deeper what I don't understand.
totally agree with you there. And Judith, I just wanted to draw attention to the fact that Wenjun is being sneaky. She just overprotected d6. Next move, if Hou Yifan isn't careful, is to go g5. You know, because it might be tempted to go
Oh,
queen to b6 and go, hey, you left some queenside pawns. But
oh,
g5, yeah.
what a tricky lady. So the rook has to move away, but where?
But then
Then the
g5 might
e4, the
even
rook is,
still be coming.
but the rook is defending both of these pawns. So wherever it goes, the other one can be hanging. So what? Maybe knight f5, but that e4 is hanging. Oops! Oops!
You didn't see it. G5. G5. And things are suddenly going to come live for Zhu Wenjun as
I
she
think she
is.
sees it. She sees
Of
it,
course,
just
she sees
double checking.
G5 on the board. Such a sneaky move there, Judith, because it just looked like it was defending d6, nothing to it. And
Very
instead, it had
innocent.
this.
Ah, my pawn is hanging, rook d8.
La la la
And
la
you
la,
felt
nothing
it. You
happening.
felt it that there is something sneaky thing going on here.
Yeah, I saw G5 because I was trying to get G5 to work on the previous move because, you know, hey, I want to win material. But E5, okay, well, Hou Yifan is ultimately lost in this position. She's going to lose material. So you might as well roll the dice and see how far you go. E5 is a nice try and the position.
Well, she had to play something, right? But it's very difficult to say what kind of. Well, it's a rook.
It is a rook.
Queen d7.
Yeah.
I
Well, she
mean,
gets a few checks. No, not even a
really?
check. No
Where are
checks.
the checks?
I was saying there was no. Okay,
Queen
there's
e6.
black has a check. Queen e6, and you cover g4, and no way to make progress.
Well, queen e5 to start with, but then rook g3 check and queen g4. But then still queen g5. Queen f3, queen c1.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a tricky move. Queen e5, rook g3, counter check.
It is very, very tricky. And can you go rook e4? That's what I was thinking. Just because on account of your queen to g4, rook e4,
Yeah,
and
rook
then
e4 is maybe the best. But it's confusing, and Zhu Wenjun is spending her time.
rook g3 anyhow. So queen e5 is going to be met by queen to g4, and this bishop on f8 is locked out of the game. So I would say with 20 seconds for Hou Yifan, 22 seconds for Wenjun. There is a margin for error in this particular position. But rook c8, beautiful move. Rook c1 is the threat,
Yeah,
followed by black giving
it's
checkmate.
it's a good calm move. Rook c8, rook c1.
Mhm.
Go for it. Show me how do you want to get out of this threat. Very
Knight
cold-blooded.
e7, maybe.
Okay, so probably queen e5. Queen a7, look at that.
But we can still throw in rook c1, and now we have all manner of threats on the board.
But look at
Yeah,
that.
and this is
Queen
nice.
a8. Knight d5. Goes.
Queen e5
Okay,
check.
rook h1 and queen e1. Game over.
Yeah.
Checkmate. Wenjun in the
Yeah.
lead again.
It is, and striking back with the black pieces again as the match will probably go into its last
Oh,
game
look
in
at that.
5+1 portion. It is the Rosalimo.
Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wenjun says, okay, I don't want big things now. Let's move on to the next time control, next phase of the match.
Yes. And we saw her do that yesterday. I mean, I thought it was quite nice. She had this strategy which was working super well, And when she had won the match, she was like, hey, let's just mix it up. Let me just throw in a Sicilian with the black pieces. Let me play even more sharp and open Sicilian with the white. It was very refreshing to see this kind of gutsiness from Zhu Wenjun. And now we're saying Zhu Wenjun, she's got her favorite pawn structure on the board. E4, C4.
This, it shows a lot of positional games and the long game, right? It's maneuvering, but black is doing completely fine. By exchanging the white square bishop in this pawn structure, it gives a lot of space for black. It's interesting in different structures of position, you take off different pair of pieces, and it has a completely different understanding of evaluation.
Right. And I
Like if
remember
now,
my friend, he was like waxing lyrical about this particular pawn structure, especially with the light square bishops off the board. He said, normally this is the piece in the Maroczy bind. And, here you just have a very simple plan of rook to d1, and you want to be jumping in with your knight to d5, and you're just arguing you have way more space. And this is where I came up with my phrase, which is when your opponent doesn't have too much space, you let them enjoy their position. I mean that sarcastically, Judith.
but okay, at the same time, space is not enough. Space is not enough. Because we
That's
have
true.
space, but for example, many times these knights will be jumping to c5 and d4, and then maybe you have more space and your pawns are more forward than blacks, but the weak squares are a great compensation. So it makes a difference in evaluation. Queen b6, good move.
Mm-hmm. I agree. That's a great move. That d4 is definitely a strong hold. But I find that people don't like maneuvering, although these two players are fantastic at the stage of the game, so I don't think it's going to be a big issue here. But especially for direct players, I've seen so many people, when they're confronted with lack of space, they have this urge to break out and ruin their position, give up all the squares in order to get that small activity. So here I'm expecting Zhu Wenjun. Do you think? I don't think she'll take it. I think she'll just kind of drop the queen back and
I want
then
to
kind
go
of
queen
set up the
d2.
bishop b2. Yeah, me
This
too.
is
It
what
was
you
like
have in
bishop
mind, right?
b2. Yeah.
I don't think white can exchange the queens. I mean, black has a wonderful bishop on g7, and queen d2 is on the board.
Yeah. I'm expecting that as well. And Well, then now the question for Hou Yifan, knight to c5. Is she going to go queen a5? Is she going to lash out? I mean, one move I wouldn't recommend, but I've seen a lot of
Which
people
one?
do it, is they go f5, f5. That's the kind of move where
I'm not
impatient
even
players
sure
go.
that it's so bad, you know. But probably White is just playing bishop b2.
Yes.
That's why.
Well, that's the thing. And that's what I mean about, players being impatient. They feel like, oh my God, they can already see the future that white is going to establish this clamp. And so they're like, I have to do it now, or I will never
Yeah,
get
but
a
Hou
chance.
Yifan
And
is
then
not such an aggressive player. I mean, she plays very
that is
healthy
true.
chess, but she doesn't want burn bridges. I mean, she's one down, so I think she's okay. But there are a lot of options for black. Knight d7 to go to e5, or also knight goes to d4, which happened in the game, I believe. Yeah, so it's like she wants to simplify. She has a very healthy, good position. Actually, it's more white who has to be careful right now. Takes, takes, takes,
Hmm.
takes. Bishop goes out. Knight will jump to c5. I mean, black is much more active in piece play. And the
Yeah.
f5 will show. That will come eventually. But for the moment, knight c5, I would believe.
Knight c5 looks like a very good move. After all, it threatens to win a pawn, take on c3 and then grab that pawn. But I'm liking this position for black. And yeah, I agree that here it looks like white isn't entirely in control. There's a lot of squares. There's black. It's actually black that controls all the pawn breaks in this position.
At the same time, I mean, it's also hard to get worse with white, because white did not do anything seriously wrong. There is no mistake done, damage done to the structure, for example. Right? I mean, white is threatening to go knight b5. I can also go knight d5. I mean,
Yeah.
f5. Let's see if it's the right time. I'm not
Yeah, I
sure after rook
didn't
e1 it's the best time to go. What if I take on
exactly.
f5 and e7? Isn't that hanging?
It's I don't know. I don't see the plan. I mean, does she have ideas of I mean, taking on f5 and taking on e7? It's a given. So I can't quite explain this decision. And there you have it. She grabs on f5, take on e7, and this is going to be the final game in the 5+1 portion, Judith. And
Yeah.
it's going to be very bad news if for Hou Yifan if Wenjun manages to extend her lead to 2 points.
But actually, in this position, knight d5 is also very tempting. So this is the question for white. What is a better way to capture that pawn? To take rook e7 immediately, or knight d5? And she decided knight d5 is a better way. And maybe it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because later on, capturing this pawn, that's one thing. But also later on, the black d4 bishop can be simply posed
Yeah.
to try to exchange bishops, and then the power of the black bishop is nowhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Knight d5, very unpleasant. I'm sure knight d5 was blundered. What? What is this?
The rook takes f2. You can just take it and block things on e3.
What is
Okay,
this?
she has to go knight to d3.
Okay. Okay, but it's a huge advantage. Huge advantage. Not so easy, even though.
No. Well, black has
g4.
a rook and pawn for the two minor pieces. And the question is, as always, is where is the target in black's position? And there we see Zhu Wenjun. She's saying that d6 is the vulnerability. She's going to go bishop g3 and then follow it up by knight to b5. Be careful. Knight b5 in the air, bishop g3 also incoming. You can do things with time as well.
Well, Hou Yifan is in danger to have a bigger gap in result. If Wenjun plays accurately, she can get the lead with 2 points before the break and before switching to the next phase, time control in the match. Bishop h4. I was thinking about that, but she wants to go to f6 with the knight. I thought bishop on g3 would have been better placed immediately.
Yeah. But still,
F6.
knight f6 is in the air. And the great thing is that you can anchor that knight to that square. You can go g5 first. Yeah, this is very much in Zhu Wenjun's style. Knight f6.
I want to go
Beautiful
bishop
spot for the
g3.
knight. Me too.
Why you don't want to go bishop g3?
I do, but I just
But
want
she
to put a knight on
doesn't.
f6 at some point.
But she doesn't.
But now you
She
can go
doesn't
bishop.
wanna go.
Now you can go bishop g3.
But why didn't you go bishop? Why didn't she go bishop g3 when the rook was on d7? I mean, okay, a4, rook b6, blundering the pawn. No, nobody
Rook
needs
b6
that pawn.
doesn't spot it.
Okay,
No, but it's
tasty.
time. It's
Time and nerves.
exactly. And
Okay, so now she realized that rook b6 is a threat. And then she says, oh, I
okay,
have
she
to
can
do
move the
something.
king.
No, she didn't. She didn't realize it. She played h4, king e7,
But
king
Will,
d4.
well,
Okay,
Hou
but then
Yifan
now it's
also
too
doesn't
late.
spot that.
Now it's too late. Now white is in time to protect it. d5 will be coming up, maybe.
Yeah. And the thing is, this knight on f6 is so powerful. You know, knight to e4 is coming. You've also got b4, b5 in the air. So she lashes out with d5, but this is insufficient. Now the king is just coming forward. And
The thing is, the black has no squares.
it had one moment to break out. But the
That's
Hou
why
Yifan
she...
fighting hard.
Yeah, that was a good idea. I like her spirit. Giving up the pawn to make space for her king.
She blunders a rook and Zhu Wenjun wins. Well, with that win, Zhu Wenjun herself a 2-point lead. And yeah, there it came down to the clock for Hou Yifan. But some reassessment is in order as we see Zhu Wenjun with 4.5 points and Hou Yifan 2.5 points. What do we make of this portion, Judith?
Well, this was a very painful loss for Hou Yifan because all the way until this point it was cold and warm, blunders, but it was pretty stable. This game went out of control. I had the feeling that simply the players were halfway already in the next stage of the game, of the match. Like, okay, the 3 is coming, okay, this is the game, let's get over it and move on.
Absolutely.
And then with black, it was not clear for Hou Yifan whether I want to play for more than equalization, and f5 was the wrong idea, and then wrong moment as well.
Yeah, it was definitely the wrong moment. Some decisions to think about and to consider for Hou Yifan. But for Zhu Wenjun, she is nursing that 2-point lead. But you know what's coming next? It's the 3+1 portion where the pace gets quicker and the decisions get even more intense. We're going to go on a short break and when we return, it is going to be just.
Join the community club on Chess.com and participate in amazing community events every week. On Mondays, challenge yourself with incredible openings in Opening Roulette. Don't miss on Title Tuesday every week right after Title Tuesday. On Wednesday, join Arena Kings and compete against a lineup of legendary creators. On Fridays, try the all-new Community Freestyle Fridays and throw opening theory out the window. And finally, round out the week by showing off your speed in the Community Bullet Brawl. Win prizes, battle legends, and challenge yourself. Play in the community tournaments every week on Chess.com.
Hello everybody, I'm Grandmaster Pepe Cuenca, and today I bring you a real banger from the Women's World Championship match. An absolute slugfest between the two Chinese giants, Tan Zhongyi and Zhu Wenjun. We are diving into one of the spiciest games of the whole match. Buckle up, this one is fire. Tan starts with the red T opening, nice and flexible, but hold your horses. White can't go d4 just yet, because after a cheeky check on b4, oh boy, problems with the king. Fire in the palace. In the game, Zhu Wenjun starts grabbing space like it's Black Friday and makes that bishop on b2 feel lonelier than a rook in the corner. But then Tan smashes open the center, opening up that beautiful a1 h8 diagonal. A straight up runway to the king. The classic knight e5 maneuver follows, bumping up the piece on g2. But then, boom, queen to c8. The black queen is up to something nasty, planning rook d8 and bishop h3 at the same time, looking to snip off white's best piece like a gardener trimming a rosebush. After queen to e6, Tan really should have gotten rid of that knight on f6. That thing's about to turn into her worst nightmare. Black starts pushing those pawns like a bulldozer. The f pawn shows up to beef up the knight on e4 and opens up a mean threat with bishop f6. It's getting hot in here. Then comes the move that looks weird but is pure genius. g5. It's like, what is this guy doing? But nah, it's brilliant. Black wants to go c4 but doesn't want the white knight jumping into f4 like it's spring break. After a bishop trade, maybe c4 was better there. White breathes a little, dreams of peace, maybe a handshake and a coffee, but no. Black keeps the pressure going like a boa constrictor thanks to superior space and that monster knight on e4. Now comes the poison dagger, knight to f6, huge threat, queen c6 or queen to d5, pinning the knight, followed by g4 and then boom, send them straight to the showers. White plays the only move to survive, queen a8, but then disaster strikes, h4. That move is the kiss of death. Now comes a queen trade, and we are in a totally lost endgame for white. Black has the queenside majority and the king gets active really fast, heading to d5 to support the pass pawn with c4. It's all smooth sailing for Zhu now. White tries to fight back with e4 but it's way too late. Zhu Wenjun breaks into the kitchen, steals the onion and walks out whistling. After picking the h4 pawn, it's all over, and then g2 hits the board, and white resigns because of the f7, knight e5, followed by knight g6 check. Tan's dreams of becoming world champion go up in smoke.
And we are back with the final, and it's a 3+1 portion. And well, we just saw in the 5+1 portion, it was Zhu Wenjun who took control at the end. She managed to capitalize on some errors, and Hou Yifan will be chasing that 2-point deficit. And as the clock quickens, as it ticks down, everything is going to be hinging on these players' nerves, their endurance, their ability to refocus and deal with any potential setbacks. And Zhu Wenjun, she's reigning WSCC champion. The thing is, though, she's playing against another legend of the game, another WSCC champion of 23. So it's a formidable competitor. Judith, what do you think the players will have been doing in that break?
Well, I'm pretty sure that Hou Yifan for a few seconds or at least I would have done that. I would be cursing myself. Oh, why did I lost that game? Of course, you know that you cannot spend that time because every second matters here, how you can recover and refocus and recharge your brain and get ready for the next portion of the shorter time control. At the same time, it's very hard to leave it immediately behind you and say, okay, now I cannot deal with this, but in 3 hours time, when after we finish the match, then I'm going to be nervous about myself. Then I'm going to be angry at myself. No, this is here at the moment where you make sometimes mistakes, which was absolutely unnecessary, and in crucial moments. And the game before, it was kind of a crucial game from this point of view, that it's always different how you lose a game. If Wenjun would have been playing a great game and she wins, it's fine. You don't complain, or I was not never complaining really about that when my opponent outplayed me. It was not a good feeling, but I was not so nervous. But when I see that I had a completely reasonable, great position out of the opening, no dangers, no nothing, and then I created the danger for myself, that can hurt a lot. But I hope for Hou Yifan that she recovers, she puts it behind her back, and then she says, okay, let's go for this portion. We're going to see 50 minutes of 3 and 3. So, still, obviously, she can turn it around. No question about that.
Absolutely. There have been larger margins that have been overcome. And in the meantime, we see the players actually just repeat this variation that we saw Ji Wenjun be very successful with. There in that game, Hou Yifan was playing d4 and just simply maximizing the tension in the center. She goes for a different approach. It's a lot more of a slow build game, knight h2, with the idea of going knight g4 at the right time. And this begs the question, you go backwards, I go forwards, so d5 is probably the most principal move for black.
Well, it's not standing on the board. Solid bishop f8 was played. But actually, in the last two games, there were serious blunders by Hou Yifan. Because she blundered g5, right? Blundered the piece in 1. That hurt a lot. And then the last game, she also basically blundered, because when she played this f5, knight d5 was a blunder. I mean, just the whole thing was a blackout, or a kind of a blunder, because maybe after rook e7 she had something in mind, but after knight d5 it was clearly. So the last two games, I can say that Hou Yifan significantly played weaker than the previous ones, I believe. But here, let's see what is white up to. The problem is for white that she's not able to play d4, because that black will be capturing, and knight takes d4 is possible, because if white takes back on d4, the bishop c5, and the queen would be lost. So white played knight, he's still hoping for d4, but sorry, my friend, you're not going to play d4. Black said d4, and look at this, bishop is out of play, while the black bishop on e6 stands very well, can go to bishop d5. Of course, white can try to eliminate that bishop by playing bishop b3 at some point, but I think black would be going knight c5 immediately. So white has a lot of weaknesses in this position. The d5 square, once the knight goes there, and then a great opportunity for it to jump into e3. So there are more dangers for white at the moment than for black.
It certainly looks that way. And there we see bishop to b3. I was actually expecting the white knight from g3 to go to e4. And you never know where it could go. It could go to d6 or f6 at the right time. But bishop b3 in the evaluation bar sinks down for white.
Well, I
hang on a
think
second. Can you take and then grab that pawn on e5?
No, e5, I'm protecting it.
Oh yeah, there's 3 pieces. I
more,
hallucinated.
I'm more worried for black takes on b3, and quickly the knights can come to b4 and c5, and this pawn can be in trouble.
Wow. Yes, and that's like a pattern that you often see when you're playing on the black side of the Benoni. But yeah, the d3 pawn is in huge trouble.
But yeah, it was played. I was considering also if takes on b3 and g5, pushing the bishop away so you can grab the e5 pawn. But with less than 1 minute on my clock, I'm not sure I would go there when I have such a position with black and stable. But knight c5 is very logical. Absolutely. Because black is more happy to exchange the white square bishop with the knight and keep the white square bishop. in the center on d5, let's say.
Well, maybe it's time to kind of just make moves such as knight to e4 or knight. This, yeah, it's
You want
difficult to
your knight to
recommend a
be on
move.
e4.
Yes, I mean, yes.
I understand.
Let's not beat around the bush. And there we're seeing that, okay, there is now pressure against d3. So you have to step up and defend it. That's a very important pawn.
Yeah,
And
black go f6.
you have to almost, yeah, that's an effective move. Can you go after f6 moves such as b4? But now you have an opportunity to actually relocate some pieces. And this one I like, because then you're
I
going
like.
knight to f4.
Mm-hmm.
And
Queen d5 was
yeah,
inviting, but probably it's not a good move, but it was very inviting. But knight h5 can be very unpleasant. First of all, bishop h6 is a threat, okay? Because knight f6 is also there. f6. f6 now. But now knight f4 and e6 may be a possibility. Because I don't have to give up that pawn.
you can also do your fancy move of bishop to h6 as well, but we saw
Hou
b4
Yifan
being
is
played.
turning things, I think.
Well, the
Knight
pawn on
g6.
b4 is falling. Uh-oh.
Yeah, but knight g6.
What? And e7 is in the air. e7 is going to be deadly after knight to g6.
Knight h4,
And this
nice
is also
move.
great. The pawn on b4 is irrelevant.
Oops. Oh my god, the
She
queen.
blundered the queen. Oi.
Oh.
No.
Oof.
Oh. Buff.
That hurt.
Wenjun, everything is just going right for her. Somehow, she's got these positions, and Hou Yifan just blunders. Now that's going to be super painful for Hou Yifan.
But I told you,
that
see,
game,
but the last two games she was blundering. This was the heaviest blunder so far, 3 in a row.
yeah. And how do you shake off that? I mean, because she's got to forget about what happened in these last 3 games, these huge blunders that have been, and she has to come back to the board. She's got the black pieces, and Wenjun now is 3 points up.
But I think what has happened is that she played knight h4 and she made maybe a pre-move of knight f5. And when knight c3 happened, she, instead of with the mouse going back with the knight, she just let it go. It was this kind of mistake, I believe, or that's the only thing I can think of, that it was a mouse slipped story. Finally we have a different. What is it? Bogo Indian?
Yeah, it's a Bogo Indian, but with c takes c5 and bishop after bishop takes bishop, c takes pawn. So this one is very unbalanced. There's a lot of possibility for black to kind of keep a very tense game. And talking about tense, suddenly e5 happened. I know that was normally when they've done this against me, Judith, they've gone bishop d7. They played very gentle chess and waited for e4 to appear on the board.
Black has a reasonable position, but it's not the position which is the problem for Hou Yifan. In the last 3 games, I mean, she had normal positions. All 3. All 3 positions in the last 3 games, she was completely fine, to say the least. So she has to stop blundering. She has to stop this blundering series.
Easier said than done, though, Judith. I mean, what did you tell yourself when you were on the rare occasion that you were blundering something or just on a bad streak? I mean, did you have like something that you said to yourself, like, well?
Well, it's very difficult, especially in such a short time control, because in classical game, you can tell yourself, okay, pay a little bit more attention on this or that. spend more time. If you have a choice of making going very sharp, very complicated, you know that you're in bad form, so you don't go to the sharpest, very heavy lines. You're going to be choosing the more solid, more positional directions. So you can try to guide yourself into some general way, but in 3 minutes, things are happening so fast, especially when you go down under a minute. It's all about focus and how much you can adjust yourself and follow your opponent's plans. And of course, if your opponent is tricky and making some switching from plans, and so if your opponent is also a very good player, of course it's even harder.
Yeah. It's
But first she has to.
job
She
for
lost three in
Hou
a
Yifan.
row. She
She
lost
has
three in
lost
a
3 in a
row,
row
so she has to
and
stop. This
lost
is
them
the
in.
first thing.
Okay, so the first thing is just steady the ship, as we say, and
Stop the bleeding.
just get back onto that scoreboard again. Yeah, because it's been 3 very painful losses for her, 3 big blunders. And the last one, I think you can rationalize, right? It was all to do with the fact that she had pre-prepared knight to h5, and there was some confusion, some synergy with the mouse and the clicking of the squares, and yeah. But we have a position where black has some play along the b line and a great square for the knight on b4, and it's not entirely clear how white is going to start improving the position, because every
Actually,
time you step forward with a pawn in the center, you can leave some squares behind. So that's not going to be an easy job, and it's also not very easy for white to coordinate the 2 rooks together, because yeah, you can line up on the a line, but b6 is going to block everything together.
but I think what is very tricky black played knight b4 and the best possible square for the knight, but now there is a serious threat of taking on d4 and playing knight c2. So for Wenjun, it's not so easy now to make her decision.
Mm-hmm.
This is why she took
Well,
on
she takes on
e5,
e5.
because she wanted to
Now the
keep
knight's
her
increased.
square for the queen.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a big threat on the board. Well. And this rook on a3 is misplaced. You kind of want it to be on a1, so you can go rook to d1. So this is an opportunity for Hou Yifan to take some control. And I was queen c7 defending the pawn on e5, and now b3 solidifying everything. That's very much in Wenjun style, protect everything. But at the same time, this is a move that I was concerned about. Black is going to start taking over control over the d line. Nothing is on prise just yet. Everything is covered. Rook to d1, I'm expecting.
Well, black played interesting. She played queen c7, protecting the e5 and the a5. So from the rook from a8, it went to d8 and all the way to d3 in the last moves. Knight d4. I thought about this trap, but I thought it can't be good. It's just visually nice tactics. Knight queen g4 also wants to be a threat. But isn't it something very bad for white?
It is. And the problem is that you couldn't go knight to g4 on account of f5. And now, well, it is Wenjun that has blundered a piece. She grabbed that pawn on h6. She's fighting hard. And the player's just seconds left on the clock. The problem is that you don't want to be going rook takes rook, because the pawn on e5 is hanging. So Wenjun fighting hard. She didn't take on e5.
No, because she thought that after f6 she's losing the d5, and she felt that d5 passed pawn is more important.
But now here, black is in full control. Knight to f5. The queen does a beautiful job blockading the d pawn. And now it's the white king that's in trouble. It's just about holding the nerve. Can Hou Yifan make that comeback?
She will.
Wenjun
She will.
giving
Rook
up
f4. Only
d
time,
pawn.
time.
Exactly. 2 seconds. It's all about the mouse speed now and playing those good moves and instincts.
And
Black king is safe.
plays from second to second.
Nice threat of rook a1, rook a2, and now the knight is going to come in and give a check. It is all over, and Hou Yifan strikes back. Well,
Very important victory.
that very, very important. Also sets the tone. That was with the black pieces. Now Hou Yifan goes back to the same strategy, but this time it is the Petrov defense there from Wenjun.
Unexpected choice. Okay,
Yes.
g3. Great comeback by Hou Yifan. Very important victory. Stopped the loss series, and also, of course, gaining a full point. It's like only two points lead for Wenjun. She knows it, that
Yes.
it's nowhere from over.
It is not over until that match clock in the bullet portion says 0-0-0, and then and only then can you relax. And both players, they are bringing their best to this particular match. And it's funny that actually I've noticed that the Chinese players often adopt the Petrov. I mean, we see Lei Tingjie playing Ding Liren. I mean, many of the top players, Wei Yi, are also employing it. It's nice how certain openings just become fashionable within certain countries. And d3, this type of response from Hou Yifan, she's saying she doesn't want to clarify the position. She's going to keep it tense. And it's almost like she's playing on the black side, but with that colors reversed. You know, she's got that extra tempo.
Yes, absolutely. It's true. In these structures, we say that it's like reverse color of what is it? It's if you call it a reverse color, which opening is that? It's
it was like a pit. It looks like a pit.
yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so Hou Yifan got what she wanted. It's a game with some complications. Complicated middle game going to be. Not a typical boring Petrov opening.
Nope, not at all. But the pawn on d3 is hanging, so you have to do something about that. And you also have to anticipate maybe black is going to go e5, e4. Also, your knight to g4 is definitely in the air. And oh, we have a reaction there from Xu Wenjun. She's looking a little bit puzzled. Knight c4 was not the move that she expected.
Yeah, because probably e4 is something that one has to take account.
And it's on the board.
Okay. Takes, knight e4, bishop e3. But I think Hou Yifan is happy with this. But bishop e6, that's a problem.
Yeah, and not so easy to improve the position for white. You know, somehow you want to liberate this bishop on g2 and have it put pressure b7, but that's not an easy task because the bishops are standing off against each other on c5 and e3.
I'm wondering what white can do here, or what should she do here.
I was thinking knight e2, but then knight d3 or knight to e4.
Which f2, f3 to d2.
Yeah, this.
But I thought after bishop c5, bishop c4 will be the move. But okay, this is also maybe more understandable, not to give the bishop pair away. But now bishop c6 at some point can be very annoying.
Yes, that is a big question. In fact, is the time now?
Okay.
Do you
Bishop
want...
c6 on the board. Knight e5.
And that was given a miss. Okay. Oh, Judith, she had a
e5.
Knight takes
Knight
a5.
no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. But you know why? But you know what knight a5? It's beautiful. I have to go back. Because knight a5 and then rook a5, knight b3. This is a nice one.
Absolutely.
This is a
Absolutely
nice one. And it's easy
amazing.
to blunder, of course, when you play so fast.
And in the meantime, no moves, knight e5, rook db8.
Oh,
How to
white goes
defend
down very
the
much
b-pawn.
on time.
It was not easy how to defend the b-pawn, and this
Knight
bishop on
c4
e6
back.
is so good. Yeah, but you allow, well, either you're going to go e5 to c4, or if you go with the other knight, you allow this knight to jump into b3, and is ticking down for
Sorry.
Hou Yifan. And
It was very
yeah,
quickly played. b4. Sorry that I missed. a5.
and
Again, we have
anyway,
rook knight versus rook. It's only that in the previous
yes.
game there were no, or 2 moves ago, 2 games before, there were no rooks.
But one of the things here is that if black manages to find a safe hiding place for the king, and this seems to be perfectly done, it is the white king that is going to be incredibly vulnerable on the light squares. And there's the c-pawn as well that's going to start advancing up the board. And Hou Yifan just playing on seconds left on the clock. It's getting serious for her because this is the last game before the halftime break. And you don't want to be entering that on the back of another loss.
Bishop c6, trying to put on the long diagonal. For now, black is stabilized her knight and rook. So everything is connected. Everything is protected.
Yeah, just trying to find a safe place for the king, and the rook
Maybe try
is...
to bring the king at some point.
Well, this is... And Wenjun wins on time. Oh, Wenjun, such a classy player. She strikes back with the black pieces. It's a match that we've seen everything. We've seen blunders and comebacks. And now going into the halftime break, Wenjun is once again 3 points in the lead. What is it all about for the players, Judith?
Well, it's getting harder and harder for Hou Yifan because she's missing opportunities, and of course, or I would think that probably nobody is around her, so nobody is reminding her that actually she had a winning move by capturing on a5 and knight b3, and probably she doesn't realize it either. So that's a good thing. But I mean, you can feel that there are a lot of blunders happening in these games. And that's not a good feeling because it means that whatever you're doing and building up, it can slip away in a second because you're blundering something. So that's starting to be a very bad feeling when you're repeatedly blundering on positions.
Yes, and well, as we see, Wenjun, she does have a 3-point lead for her. It's all about maintaining her composure, just holding the nerve, but it's all in Hou Yifan's hands if she wants to initiate a comeback. We're going to go pause, and when we return, we're going to bring you more of the 3+1 action. Yifan with the second half of 3+1 portion in the grand final of the Women's Speed Chess Championship. So far, reigning WSCC champion Zhu Wenjun is nurturing a 3-point lead over her rival Hou Yifan. And Judith, we did see early on that Zhu Wenjun is locked in. She means business, and with this lead, well, things are certainly looking in her favor.
Well, everything is standing for Zhu Wenjun, and it was the same case yesterday. She showed her stability, her focus, her determination, and this is what we're seeing here. She's not playing perfect, but she makes much less mistakes than Hou Yifan and much less blunders. So it was, it's very difficult for Hou Yifan to switch strategy and not to make mistakes. That's important. And draw is also a result. They barely make draws.
They made one draw, and that one actually should have been a victory, I think, for Zhu Wenjun. And here we see it's a Sicilian once more. This was an opening where Hou Yifan got a very pleasant position before she made that uncharacteristic blunder.
Interestingly enough, we have the same position so far. They are repeating it.
They are. And during the break,
Bishop
it was
B2
quite
new move.
interesting and not liked by the engine. Not liked at all, but A6 was not the answer there. I was just going to check whether there's been one game. There has been a game on the database that continued with black going queen to B8.
On B2? That was kind of strange. A6 may be slow.
Yeah.
I thought there are other options also, but it's much more logical to play bishop B2 and only much later to play B3 if you want. I mean, it's very important to protect this. It's so dangerous, right? In this position, she was playing B3. I mean, you don't allow, or very rarely you allow when it's good to weaken your square. So knight C5, queen E2.
We have some moves as Hou
Knight
Yifan
E6.
tries to cement control over the D4 square. It's great strategy. Bishop to E3, of course. Zhu Wenjun does not let that happen. So now the question for black is, how are you going to unite your pieces? Are you going to come out with your queen to A5? But all the time, this is one of the things about this type of position for black especially, is that you always have to deal with these knight jumps to D5. White is just going to go B3, knight to D5, just sit there with the rooks in the middle of the board, and black is the one that is left trying to find an active plan.
That's true that it can happen to black, that it seems like that the pieces are standing on the right square, but actually they are not so active as they seem at first. Black wants to play and prepare B5 in some sort in this position, playing rook B8. That was the idea, but now the question is, will be there any real opportunity for black to do so? Because for now it's not possible, because white can capture c takes b5 and then simply knight takes b5, right? So black will have to make more preparational move like queen a5. Queen a5, b6? Very unusual to me. Wow, b6.
Yeah, I was
Unexpected.
expecting queen a5, but I guess this was the whole problem with like queen a5s, b6s, that the knight is just posting up to
But
that
now
central
b4.
square.
b4.
And you can drop the e4 square? E4
Because
pawn?
knight bishop takes b6 and I'm winning material, no? No, bishop g5 played.
Yeah, with Zhu Wenjun, she doesn't like to take risk. She wants to keep full
Provocation.
control and keep everything. Yes.
But
And,
now
and is
b4,
Hou
b5.
Yifan going to be rising up to the b4, b5? Yes, e7 is falling. And it appears Knight to e6, maybe
Again, a
early move,
blunder.
and then g5.
Blunder.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Maybe rook takes d4 and
Well,
bishop
there's one thing.
e7.
And sure enough, that's
Bishop
happening on
e7
the board.
and bishop f6.
Yes. Oh, wow. You get control of all of the dark squares. And Judith, that is exactly what is happening on the board. Knight f6 incoming. You pick up all the dark squares, and black is going to be consistently worried. Also, the
But
pawn on
bishop
d6
f6
is
is a
super
huge
weak,
problem.
and what to do?
Well, bishop takes f8.
Bishop
Right?
f6.
Why not to take bishop f8? Bishop f6, of course, that's that's the tough one, yeah? Why not to continue that way?
Well, Hou Yifan is asking the questions, right? So it's not that easy for Wenjun, and she has to play
Uh-oh.
very accurately. And she takes on, okay, rook c7 in the air, but not the best move.
No, now suddenly black has counterplay. Okay, so great chance for Hou Yifan. I mean, it's still awful for black. Queen b2 shows up in a second. Right? I mean, knight e7,
yeah,
e8 knight, we can take.
But Judith, now both players ticking to their 20 seconds. Do you think this is a kind of position where white will lose control because she grabs on c8? I can see this turning around. With a rook
I can see this being a draw without any problem. But now it's winning also. Okay, so Hou Yifan needs this. Needed this desperately. Yeah, the quality of games dropped. Black still has to win. Some technique has to be shown. Okay, so it's still not so clear how black is going to win, though these pawns, these are the weakness of the position. Black square bishop, bishop f2, king f3, but still I'm wondering how this king from g7 will cross d6. What a possibility. Okay, g5, very good. h5, exactly. All the gates are closed for black. All the gates. Actually, unbelievable that Wenjun is saving this game after blundering so many things in a winning position. But now it seems like we're going to be witnessing a draw. Unbelievable game. Seconds on the clock. Seconds on the clock. And it must be so painful for Hou Yifan to draw this. After that, she had that opportunity. And what a game. What a game. Wenjun played well. And now the new game starts. Again, a Petrov. Again, a Petrov. And for a 3-point lead for Wenjun. It's a lot. Okay, so we are going into the middle game shortly with very similar what we had in previous game. And let's see what black is up to. f6. f6, interesting that, wow, Wenjun maybe wants to go queen d7 and long castle. I'd be surprised that she would feel that way.
Yes. That was unbelievable last game. The golden opportunity there for
What
Hou
a
Yifan.
save. What a save.
Completely. That's actually going to be really difficult to recover. She's been making those blunders, and then suddenly Zhu Wenjun just pulls a rabbit out of the hat. And it was a magic trick how she managed to save that one. But Hou Yifan has to, again, we've been talking about it, readjust, refocus, and forget everything that's happening as she goes for this system. It's like a reverse pack, I think we called it, with this. Maybe she's going to go c3, maybe she's going to go a4.
But look what Zhu Wenjun is doing. Look what she's doing. She plays f6, bishop e6, queen d7. She makes all the kind of moves that she's ready to castle long. It's not Zhu Wenjun who is sitting there, right? I mean, that's not her style. I mean, she usually plays the quiet, developing move, short castle, and quiet. She has this three-point lead, and then she wants to h5. Look at that. She's going to be attacked like crazy.
She's and we're going to have a race, which just means that she's confident, right? Because we saw her do this against Polina Shivalova yesterday. When she thought, I've got it in the bag, that's when she just went into a completely different mode. And the pressure is on Hou Yifan. How is she going to maintain that pawn on b5?
The pressure is definitely on Hou Yifan. At the same time, what was this?
Bishop takes pawn, right?
What was this? C4? Bishop takes c4.
This was possible. Yeah. You can't
Things are
capture the
happening too
bishop because
fast.
of queen takes queen. Yes.
But one
Maybe she was
unexpected
banking on
shift
bishop
from
e3.
Zhu Wenjun.
Mm-hmm.
I like the way
Interesting
Zhu
psychological
Wenjun
moment
builds her
because Hou
strategy.
Yifan. Me too. Because I was going to say, it was like, the last game must have been very, very painful for Hou Yifan. So instead of just being solid and allowing Hou Yifan to kind of readjust, just emotionally get stable, she's like, no, let's just really just ramp things up and just set fuel to the fire there. And now that's super sharp stuff, and the heat is on.
Yeah, I mean it's a really smart thing what Zhu Wenjun did, I believe. And well, look at the position. She has extra 2 pawns, not too much of a danger from white side. Black bishop can always go back to c6 and defend backwards the b7 pawn at the same time, being powerful and aggressive and attacker forward.
Mhm.
Wow.
And Hou Yifan down to
And Hou
40
Yifan is
seconds
thinking.
on the clock. Yeah. Completely thinking queen b3. At least the one thing to say for white's position is that there are open lines to attack the king down. So you have a target on b7, but naturally bishop c6 will happen, just knitting the
e6.
black defenses together. Yeah, not happening
No, but e6
just
was
yet.
also no big deal. Queen d3.
Mm-hmm. And this is also a fantastic move. You don't want to be helping white improve the knight. Instead, you just say, let that tension brew in the center, and I will make sure that I keep control over the all-important e5 square. And there's no way for this rook on e1 to get into the game. You want to be going rook c1 and maybe some sacrifice on a c6.
Can white avoid exchange of queens if queen d3? King a8. What a
Oh,
super safe move.
right. But this is allowing all kinds of, I don't know, the king is not very safe with the bishop on g2. So I'm thinking that there's rook c1 ideas.
That's what I was
Rook
wanted to show,
b3.
not rook b1, but rook c1, and somehow just eliminate that bishop, and then my bishop on g2 finally can show its full perspective. But it seems it's
Absolutely.
not the case. e6 finally.
Yeah.
Knight h4. White is getting back
And
in business. Look
yeah,
at
but she doesn't
this.
have too
Yeah,
much time on the clock,
g6,
Judith.
f5 square. You can't have everything. But she's going to be good. Play fast. Play fast.
Yep,
Nothing else.
that's exactly the name of the game.
Queen e5.
And
Queen d4.
mhm.
Okay, white is still kind
And
of back.
now,
Rook b3. Rook b1. Put pressure. Okay, not to blunder that. Ooh, 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 ooh.
yeah, and the f2 pawn falls, and Ji
a4.
Wenjun wins. She wins, and it's now 4 points that Hou Yifan has to make up. The players begin again, and this time from Ji Wenjun, no more e4s. It is a knight f3.
Yeah, and you know, the thing is that if you haven't seen the games and you know that Juvenjun is leading 8-4, I would say that with some luck, Hou Yifan can turn around things. But seeing the last games, I see that Hou Yifan is so shaking and blundering so many moves that I don't see much of a chance for her to recover. This is the
Yeah,
sad
this,
story. Juvenjun has a fantastic
well,
position again with white, but black played d6. While previously we've seen a game by them playing, oops, sorry, no, knight e8, and then black knight went to d6. But this is, I think, more logical. Black played h6, trying to go knight h5 or knight h7, and then play in the center somehow to play f5. Even though, of course, it's not easy to get great attacks with black if white is very careful, especially that white has a fianchetto bishop. Anatoly Karpov was torturing me with this against the King's Indian. He played all g3 system, and it's just so difficult to create real messy position and attack with having the bishop on g2. So that's a very
well,
safe way of
she's gonna have to
reacting.
try it though.
f4.
She's
No,
gonna have to do
knight b5.
no. Okay, well now is a chance. Now is a
Knight
chance for
b5 is
Hou
a bad
Yifan.
move.
Right,
Knight b5 is
but
clearly a bad
sometime
move.
to knight. Can you do the same? Can you go knight to g5 and start to come in, or maybe bishop c8? This bishop is useless on
Exactly.
b7.
Exactly. Bishop c8 will come. f4, I thought about that because it's nice to stop white playing f4. Had to play f4 in the previous move.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, white is aiming to reach the magical e6 square for her knight, but I think black is pretty good in time. Knight g5. Look at both of the knights are protecting the e6 square. At the same time, the g5 is also supporting all kind of attacks. Rook e1.
Right. Bishop c8 in the air, f3 in the air.
Absolutely.
It's a dream position
Queen,
here
yeah.
for Hou Yifan. Bishop to e5. I mean, the main thing is that she has to not run down the clock and not panic and blunder, especially in light of what everything was happening in the past. Yeah, bishop to e5 made a lot of sense, but that wasn't the move, given a question mark. Okay, queen f6.
The c7 is hanging in some
Uh-huh.
cases. But after queen f6, for the moment, I believe, first of all, h4 is possible to push away the knight. Like now, h4.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is awarded a question mark. I mean, what could be wrong with this move? Okay, and it's not that. Maybe it was something a bit more aggressive, like chasing away the knight. But okay, that's it's difficult to spot. And now here, question is,
Finally, bishop
Bishop
c8, but it should have come earlier to bring back this bishop. It's always good to bring back because it's simply that bishop has a much better role on that diagonal than on b7. Look at that. What is this? Rook e5, queen, rook g8, bishop h3.
she's got rook f5 as well, bishop, and there's also
c7.
I'm also wondering whether you can, just to clarify the position. Okay, this one I like. Rook to g8, incoming. Be careful where you put the queen and the king.
Absolutely. That's, yeah, it's a question for white. Okay, rook e1. Okay, the bar shows that white is losing, but when you play the game, it is not that simple at all because you don't know. I mean, look at that, what happened. Rook f7, double question mark. Why? Why is that? Why is
It's
that?
not very
Queen
clear.
h5. Hold on. Queen h5 was the move. Maybe.
Well,
Okay, king h1, queen h4. Okay, there is no mate threat or anything like that.
yet, Judith, though, if black doubles up on the G line, then there's going to be problems. And then,
Oh yeah,
the
and
black
it's
king
coming.
is so unsafe as well. It is, yeah, you just got to ignore that d6 pawn and just get on with the task. Checkmate ends the game. Rook g8, rook g7 is what I'm expecting. And she finds it. She just got 29 seconds on the clock, Judith. So once again, it's all about the nerves, the composure, forgetting everything that's happened. And Zhu Wenjun in desperate trouble. Her king is vulnerable to bishop g2 checks. There's also problems with a g1, queen takes f2.
It seems like probably white is going to be collapsing in this game.
And
before protecting.
f2.
f2. c6. Look at that move.
Okay, just preventing any bishop d5s, but okay. Bishop c6. So c6 was kind of a moment of genius, and bishop g2. I mean, black is so close to giving checkmate on g2 and g1. The question is how to do it, and this is a nice step.
Okay, but now rook e7. The bar is making some nice exercises there.
Yes, and all the while the player is playing with seconds, and white is on the verge of promoting the queen. You can go rook to g1.
This white is better. What, knight d6 or what? No, maybe
not
just
anymore. Okay, you got to cover h2, queen takes, and now you can give a check on c1, and you can pick up the knight on d6, and it is all Hou Yifan wins. And once again, the gap is down to 3 points and just 4 minutes and 51 seconds remaining on the match clock. This could very well be the final game being played at 3+.
Well, if Hou Yifan can win this game, then she's completely back in business. Absolutely. If she wins this game, she's back in business. Though we are in the Petrov, which is not the most exciting, not considered the most exciting opening, though they choose this line where it can be an interesting game. D takes c5.
But we have a change of
c3.
approach. I mean, this was absolutely necessary. It did not work well for Hou Yifan in their previous encounter. And we see, okay, at least she's taking control of the center. And I agree, it's not the most exciting position, but you can take on c5, as you mentioned. And yeah, we're going to be seeing at least white has that positional nugget, that weakness on d5 to start targeting. So yeah, this is designed to fight against any potential bishop to g5 pins.
Yeah, but bishop on f4 stands also very nice. Queen d2, rook d1, knight d2. Okay, nice isolated pawn. On d5.
Yes.
Now on d4.
But how far will it go? Now, decision
Actually,
time
d4.
for
Yeah, but d4 is a
yeah.
good move because black afterwards can play bishop b3, bishop b4, and forcing c3. So the isolated pawn will disappear.
Well, the question is where you're going to go with your knight, right? You had some options. You can go to knight b5, knight e4 was the one chosen, and it
Mistake.
rotates,
Knight
bishop
e4,
takes.
bishop b4. Why didn't she go bishop b4? Now after
Well,
bishop b4, I'm not going to play c3.
but the rook on e4 feels misplaced.
Ah, but she wanted to play bishop d5 maybe and capture on f3.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, how do you fight that? Bishop d5.
Bishop d5. I'm curious.
I mean,
Bishop f5. Rook e2. Queen d5 is a sensible move now, I believe. Queen f6. Why is it two question mark? Tell me. Why?
Is bishop e5? Is there some
Knight e
no?
positionally you do this, and I have to take knight e5, rook e5, bishop d3, queen d3, right? Or yeah,
There was some
or rook d5.
amazing variations actually with bishop takes h6, but I think that's a computer suggestion. I don't think the players would even have found that with 2 hours on the clock. But yeah, rook to e1.
And the pin. Oh, that's a nice one. That's a nice one.
Exactly. But okay, it was a difficult spot, because it just came out of nowhere. But anyway, it's a nice position for Hou Yifan here. She's got her rook to the beautiful 7th rank. Queen e4 is in the air. b7 is the target. And this knight on f3 is just itching to get into the game at the right time via a knight to e5 jump. So it is Zhu Wenjun who is under pressure.
Yeah, and this one, Hou Yifan has to win. She has to win this, and if she wins this, then she may win the match even.
Wow.
Look at that, rook e5. She's going to go rook f5 at some point if bishop d6. Also gaining time advantage.
Do you think that if this goes into the bullet portion and Hou Yifan is still trailing by 3 points, is that an insurmountable gap in terms of Zhu Wenjun's skill, the +1, and also her style of play, which is just very rock solid?
Well, I'm thinking that, if this game will be, let's say, Hou Yifan wins, which actually in the moves, I think White ruined some of her advantage. That will give a lot of extra energy that, okay, she got closer. And then anything can happen in the 1 minute. If this one she's going to be losing, I don't think she has a real chance to turn things around. Because then again, going to be like -4, right? So that is too much at this level, I think, because if and in that case, it will be all depending on Zhu Wenjun. If Zhu Wenjun is not going crazy in the final part phase of the events, then she's going to be winning with +4. If Hou Yifan wins this game, then I think anything can happen.
Okay. Well, it's a big difference, right? So +4, probably difficult for Hou Yifan to strike back, but 2, anything can happen. Well, here, this is a game where all 3 results are actually still possible because we see the white queen being driven back. The white king isn't entirely safe, and there's pressure against C2. And this is going to be the final game played at 3+1. It's going to be bullet incoming. And it's down to the final seconds. Wenjun, can she hold her nerve? 8 seconds left on the clock. It's just about playing those good moves, but she's still having to
But white
deal with
again.
unpleasant moves.
White again.
White is much better.
Sorry?
Still much better, right? Because the knight on d3. Now the queen and knight are going to be working together. This pawn on d4 is still a target. 5 seconds on the clock.
Less rooks on the board, the better it is for black.
Yeah. And now the king starts coming in. Okay,
Queen
he
E5.
can just tuck himself away.
Queen E5.
Queen E5.
Takes, knight.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
And
Yeah,
now
good
king.
Move. Goes knight f3, d3, king d5. Okay, great check, king d3. Oops, look at that. Knight d3, knight f3, taking the pawn.
Exactly.
Oops,
And
c4.
c3, c4.
I mean, Hou Yifan has to... no, sorry, I thought she blundered, but great move.
No, but it was a fantastic move, and that is going to actually narrow the win as the c-pawn is going to march up the board. It is unstoppable, and Hou Yifan wins and narrows the gap down to 2 points. And the emotions are clear on the player's face. Wenjun, she was looking so comfortable, and now she's just there down 2 beats. Yifan making her comeback. Oh, what a portion that was, Judith.
Absolutely. This was so important for Hou Yifan to win these last 2 games. It was so important. It was a must. And now she bounced back because she made it equal in the 3-minute portion, right? And then now she goes for the 1+1. Anything can happen. They're going to be playing at least, 10 games or something. So anything can happen. You know, you have a bad 5 minutes and you lost 2 games. Or 1.
That is absolutely true. Anything can happen in the bullet portion. It's going to depend on the player's wits. It's also going to depend on their nerves and also their mouse skills. And what can better complement a mouse? Good mouse pad. So level up your office or gaming space with a Chess.com mouse pad. Whether you're looking for a surface that supports mouse speed in a bullet game or a desk accessory to match your aesthetic, we've got the sleek and stylish mousepad for you in 3 unique designs. So visit go.chess.com/mousepads or use !shop in chat to explore the collection. And we're going to be right back with that lightning fast bullets portion right after this break.
Just a few minutes away from boarding my plane to the US. This is going to be the start of my chess journey. Look at this! The skyline of New York. Hello, nice to meet you.
We have an 8-year-old who's #1 in the country.
I lost both games to these 8 and 12-year-old kids. I'm gonna play against a prodigy kid. You're a comedian, right?
Yeah.
That's really cool.
No one's perfect. Keep spreading the world and the knowledge. That's my take on this.
Charlotte has one of the best chess centers in all of the US. I am playing against Dina Belinkaya. Honestly, this feels like a world championship match. First 4th of July.
to see you. Good to see
Good
you.
to see you. How are you doing? It's been a long
Good,
time. If you're a chess player, this is the place you have to go to. Hello. Grandmaster Fabiano Caruana, one of the best chess players in the world.
This is Jasser Sarawan. He is an absolute legend in the chess world.
We are right now in Utah. I am right now standing just a few meters away from the headquarters of Chess.com.
Good luck, everybody.
This is my mom's first time in Los Angeles. I just met Andrea!
Hello, vlog!
And Alex.
And Alex.
You completely just ruined my entire stream.
Here's the beach, Mom.
Oh, there's the beach. Oh, it's huge.
We have brought a board and we're gonna play chess here at the Santa Monica Pier. This trip has been probably the best thing I've ever done in my life.
Hi, I'm International Master Ivanka Hauske, and welcome to my first course for Chessable, starting out the Caro-Kann. Light square strategy is what I like to call it. You put your pawns on light squares, you develop your pieces, and then when the time is right, you break out in the center. What I need you to do is get in the focus of quick development. Knight takes g7, check is possible, king moves to f8, attacking the knight, and now after knight to h5, what we want to be doing is first asking that question to the knight, because white can immediately go wrong with knight to e2. We simply go knight to b4, and this bishop and the knight have orchestrated a sneak attack against c2, and now black is totally winning. There are lifelines to help you remember the piece configurations, there are guidelines, there are cautionary tales, and of course there are my trademark phrases, all to help you get a good Caro-Kann. Back with the bullet section of the final, and it all comes down to this. We have 25 minutes of 1+1. Hou Yifan is trailing Wenjun by 2 points, and as we know in bullet chess, anything can happen. We've seen a lot of matches, a lot of games in bullet due to it. What does it take to be an exceptional bullet player, and do you think Hou Yifan can just bridge that gap and take it to tie breaks?
I never played bullet myself, to tell you the truth, but seeing the unfolded games, how the match unfolded, and from game to game, and being in it, I think Hou Yifan has a great chance to go in there and say, okay, my intuition will be better than yours. I'm going to be faster than you, and I'm going first to win 1 game, 2 game, and then equalize, and maybe go all the way and even win the match. She can dream of this scenario.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she
And
can
she should
dream.
believe it too.
Definitely, it's all about belief. I mean, because one of the dangers about dreaming is that you start thinking all about the future, but you have to focus on the move in front of you. And we see 8 points, 6 points. Wenjun, if she wins this one, she is gonna be back-to-back 2-time WSCC champion. And for Hou Yifan, if she wins, she will regain a title that she lost in 2024. So either way, we're going to see a 2-time women's speed chess champion.
Sicilian e6. We don't know what they are up to after that, but c3, avoiding the open Sicilian.
Yes. And this is something that we have seen actually not in Ju and Ju matches, but we've definitely seen an ideas like this. Now there's a check on the board. What to do now? Block it, and we have some moves, and it's going to be all about whether white can generate a kingside attack there with that beautiful pawn on e5. What do we think about this?
Black is
particular
doing
pawn?
completely fine with such a beautiful
Yeah.
knight there. The mating attacks are far away from distance from the black king.
Totally agree with that, because usually you want the bishops on the board in order to create some mischief on that side of the king.
Vice square
But
bishop
here,
there.
exactly, and then you start thinking about sacrifices on h7, but it's not on the board, so you have to deal with the cards that you're given. And at least there's one thing to be said in white's favor, is that you can just plonk a knight into d6 and start controlling the c line.
Well, Vice somehow making moves with her queen. She made 3 queen moves in a row, and I don't think it benefited her. Of course, when the queen on d3, already this move knight g5, this one or the other one, can be a plan. But black is controlling, taking over on the c file. Queen c7.
Mhm. Yeah.
b4, knight jumps into c4. Or queen c4, even more powerful. Trying to simplify the position. Hou Yifan keeps everything under control for the moment.
There was some issues with like knight to f4 and then threatening.
Maybe knight f4.
Yeah. But okay, it wasn't found, and the players are just 20 seconds to 16 seconds from Hou Yifan. It's all about instincts here. And this is the moment
c7,
where chaos
nice.
starts happening.
Look at that pawn.
Lovely. But Wenjun finding some. Oh, what's this happening here? You can take, and then suddenly.
Again,
is kind of a strange scenario being Judith here, because it's Ju and Jun playing with the rook. Normally it's the other way around. Now you can give a check, you can take on a4.
Oops. Knight c2. And look at that. Hou Yifan wins her first game in one-on-one bullets action. Only 1 point ahead for Ju Wenjun. Nothing is over. That's clear.
And did you see that small little fist pump there from Hou Yifan? She needed that victory. She needed to come out swinging. And that's exactly what she's going to do when she's got the white pieces. 1 minute, it's going to be all about holding the nerve, keeping calm, and not making those blunders. And we're seeing a different approach now from Hou Yifan as she plays to maintain this light squared bishop. She's going to reroute it all the way to c2 if kicked back, but instead we have breakout in the center. It's that maneuvering game, still very much in the realms of theory, but knight f1, knight e3, knight g3 in the air.
Well, white is doing very fine. Great center with the pawn on d4, e4. Completely nice placed knight. Bishop comes back to d3 or f1. This bishop probably would be standing better on e7. Bishop g5 pinpoints the missing bishop on e7. d5.
d5. As she blundered a piece.
Blunder.
Yeah.
You see, Hou Yifan wins this. Bishop f3, bishop f7, takes, f3, rook d1, queen d5, knight f5.
Yeah. For Ju Wenjun, she suddenly didn't manage to compose herself after those 2 painful losses in the 3+1, because she was in full control. But
well, white ruined it a bit.
Yeah,
but
right. Very easy to do when you just have seconds. And bishop a7.
Knight e1, bishop d4. No, rook e2, very solid. What about b2 is hanging? So that's why f takes e3, queen c4, looking for counter chance.
Yeah.
It was much better before for white.
Definitely. But okay, she can still try to knit things together with queen to d4, boot out the queen, and okay, the pawn on e hanging.
Yes.
And now,
Everything is hanging. Knight f7.
yes, in the air. Can
Not
you go
yet.
queen takes knight? And you didn't need to. And the comeback is real, absolutely. As
Queen b3,
hang on a sec,
wondering
queen b3. Uh-oh. And Yifan, yes, it looked like she was in full control, but she did blunder. Now the question is, can she recover? Queen and knight make formidable duo. And now it is Wenjun who is coming forward. You can check on b1. You can
She
go
could
knight
play
to
rook
d3.
f1.
Yeah. And here, oh, now the knight is again incredibly powerful. Knight to f4.
Time is the problem of Hou Yifan.
Yeah, just 2 seconds left on the clock.
Starts pushing pawns.
Yeah, but to be fair, I mean, Hou Yifan just struggling now. G5, big threat on the board. Knight just comes in. And look how the knight just completely tortures the white rooks.
Will it be a draw or black wins?
No, well, the knight is coming in
Pawn
again.
was collected.
G5, G5.
Ooh. This g5, it hurts. It's for the second time. Ooh, what a painful game for Hou Yifan. She was there. She was winning.
So close
Ooh,
to
that
making
was
a comeback.
painful.
And
again,
well,
2 points extra.
just 2 points in it. Anything can still happen. And now we see a different change of approach from Wenjun. She keeps things very solid, going for this queen e2, d3. Everything is very tight. It's all about now dragging out the games for as long as possible and making sure that she doesn't blunder. Hey.
Yeah, well, if Hou Yifan bounces back now, like immediately, then she still has, it's still open. It's very important that now she's not drowning psychologically, that, I missed that opportunity. I mean, she could so easily equalize the match, right? It was so close to have 8-8, and instead of that, she's 7, 2 points behind Wenjun.
But Wenjun, she's such a formidable fighter. You know, she keeps things alive. She also knows exactly what needs to be done. I like the way that she keeps on confusing Hou Yifan with a strategy. You know, she keeps it closed, then she goes for e4, then d4, and now she's doing everything perfectly. In this game, she's got a fantastic knight on a3, which is getting ready to spring to b5. It's only her who's going to take control over the c line. And this feels like a dream position for you're just about taking control of the lines that are in front of you. For me, it is. As long as you don't blunder anything with knight to d3 coming from black. I was thinking bishop f1. And then, okay, now you can go queen f1, Judith. Oh, now. Everything is hanging, but okay, that wasn't the best move. Even though it looks like the most natural move.
But now some blunder. It could be taken and bishop f1, I think. Oh, the d3 knight will be in trouble.
Yes, bishop f1.
Yeah.
And the evaluation bar rocketing. Isn't bishop f1 now in the air?
Rook d3. Again, we have two piece versus the rook. Another format.
Okay, just 15 minutes and 13 seconds on the match clock. And Wenjun looks like she's going to be winning this one as the knight
Well, with
jumps
such two bishops?
Yeah. Bishop takes e3, e6 is incoming. And this one is a killer. Now the bishop just swoops in. Just gaining time on the clock. It's a
Yeah, it's interesting that she was not taking actions when her bishop was on f6, but goes for the very slow. Ah, okay. Takes on g7, bishop f6. Wow. Oops, queen h5. That was
What is happening? Bishop to d6,
mouse.
and okay, the rook is hanging.
Mouse.
Oh,
The mouse trap.
Yes, that's always something that falls in the lap of the internet gods. And now it is a 3-point deficit as just 13 minutes and 50 seconds remain on the match clock. It's getting critical here for Hou Yifan. She needs to win now. This is almost a must-win scenario.
That game 16, the 2 games before that was the killer game for Hou Yifan. You can win, equalize the match, and you're losing it. After all this, what happened in previous games in the 5-minute portion and in the 3-minute portion, I don't think she will be able to recover. Very little time left, also, and emotionally, it was devastating.
It's an uphill battle, but never say never. As we see the evaluation bar shoot up, this could be Hou Yifan's comeback. She could narrow it down to 2 points if she wins this one. She has to do it very quickly. And
well, maybe
now
it's
the
her
question
last
for Hou Yifan-
chance.
It absolutely is. If she loses this one, there's no way she's going to be making up 4 points in 10 minutes or so. So now she's got a dream position. Fantastic knight on d5. The queen is coming into h5. The knight is going to come into g4. So this is going Hou Yifan's way. Yeah.
c7.
She can take and take on c7.
But of course, Wenjun will be fighting it until the very end. Takes. Rook d1, knight f3, takes, bishop b2.
Yeah, and then rook b1. And
bishop b4.
Being tricky. Bishop, everything is cemented together.
Rook d5. But still, you need some technique, and she does not have too much time. 16 seconds only.
This is no
Technically, time. You have to... Okay, a3, rook b7. Good. Good. King f6. I don't like the passed pawn, I don't like it from white side.
Well, that's why she's blockading it. And then she focus on going knight to f5 and breaking things down. She's also got rook to... Okay, the knight is coming in, but bishop b4 in the air. Now
knight
you can
d6.
go rook c7.
Nice tactics.
Nice.
Nice.
Way to...
Very nice.
And
okay, takes. Okay, still not so easy to convert it. A3 pawn is still there, 10 seconds each.
And what's important for Wenjun is it's going to take time for Hou Yifan to win this one. And can you not go a2? Get behind the a pawn. And white king comes marching in. Okay, now you can grab. You could grab on h6, but she doesn't do that. She's going for it right now. 2 seconds. And
at some point, okay.
But the black king is coming in. Still not easy.
Look at that, the fighting spirit. Look at the fighting spirit of Wenjun. And she might save the game.
No, she had a win there. I mean, that was, and Hou Yifan does win, but it's on
Yeah,
time.
on time. On time.
But
Wow.
she'll be needing that point, Judith. She will be needing
Desperately.
that
It's
as the
no
gap
question.
narrows.
No question. Still
Absolutely.
some hope for Hou Yifan. Some hope. She knows it. She has to run, not looking back. Just play and win.
That's what she needs to do. And again, another critical game for Hou Yifan, as she needs to make up this 2-point deficit. She's got the black pieces. There's 9 minutes and 20 seconds remaining of this portion.
5.
Exactly as you say, Judith. Now e5 comes. So this fighting game, the King's Indian attack. So I was expecting b5, but b6 is absolutely fine. And now the question is, does Hou Yifan know how to handle White's kingside initiative? Knight to f1, knight to h2.
They are playing extremely fast. Not thinking much. Okay, White will have to think how to improve.
Right, but this is all working very nice for White, Judith. You know, you have knight to e4 in the air, and now you can... Oh, I love this move. Rook a3. Okay, you forget what the evaluation bar is saying. I mean, you can swing over with the rook to the center.
Look at this plan.
Yeah. Oh, and the tension is getting too much. I
Knight
mean,
d4.
Yeah,
Look
now...
at that. Now Hou Yifan is taking over. Bishop b7, trying to exchange that white square bishop. Black is doing better by now. And
Yeah,
for her,
and I
it
like
was
that
very
comment.
difficult.
And we see Wenjun fans just begging their idol, just park the bus, make it as solid as possible. Just under 30 seconds for both of the players. And still, this could go either way.
Well, again, very important game. Hou Yifan cannot lose. That's for sure.
No, she lose.
To stay in the match.
She's going to be losing the match. And yeah, was there some kind of knight to b4s? But okay, doesn't matter. Again, c4
Knight
is
d4
on
maybe.
loose. Yeah, but how do you hold on to c4? Okay, do you pin yourself? Okay, now this pawn on e5 is falling. Oh, but
Well, now
okay.
queen e2.
Queen e2. Queen e2, d3. I mean, there's so many moves. The pawn on g4 is so vulnerable, and everything is hanging on this game.
Oh, look at that. Bishop a5, queen d4.
Yeah.
And Wenjun, God, I mean, what kind of risky position she had?
Well, she's just got 6 seconds on the clock.
Okay, 4.
Yeah.
Queen c4, good move. Queen c6, chasing the queen. Of course,
Queen
no
A4.
exchange, no possibility for that. Black is going down in time.
Right, 2 seconds.
Okay. That's a
Setting
good
up
pin.
a nice pin.
White just saved with 1 second. F4 check.
Oh, it just went down to 0.1 seconds. She's just making moves on the increment. Is Wenjun. Oh. Bishop c5.
Okay.
It's just instincts.
Still.
Rook c7,
Rook
queen a6,
c2.
doesn't matter. The queen is going to swoop. Got to be careful. And Wenjun wins on time, Judith.
Yeah. Crucial game. Because now for Wenjun, maybe only a draw is enough to collect the championship title.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hou Yifan had several opportunities to equalize the match and over after that, but it's a difficult match for her.
Yep. you gotta say hats off to Zhu Wenjun there, because she was in a trouble in several games, and she managed to come back. She managed to hold her nerve, and she kept on making it tricky for Hou Yifan. She did not fall apart, and in the end, bullet is quick and is high
Yeah.
pressure. And that's what it's all about, holding your nerves, just taking those small opportunities. And with that win, that very important win, well, now it is virtually impossible for Hou Yifan to strike back, because she needs to do this incredibly quickly. She needs to win within the minutes, because there's only 4 minutes and 23 seconds remaining of the match. And Zhu Wenjun has a 3-point lead.
Yeah, Zhu Wenjun plays pretty well this game. She created herself a nice position, nice square for her knight on d4. Bishop a4, actually, that's a nice intermezzo after g6, because black cannot go and jump to d4 with her knight. It's important. And now, actually, white is threatening. Well, she did it, but actually it means that this is an exchange sacrifice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an exchange sacrifice. So you can take the rook, take the knight.
But this is the good order, good move order, to go knight d5, not allow the d4 pawn to ruin the white structure. Of course, Zhu Wenjun is always fighting, gives the best when she ends up in a bad position. White has a huge advantage with the exchange up. At the same time, black is gaining space and activity. So actually she has a pretty good compensation by now, because white is very passive. Look at that. Wow. Actually, that's spectacular how Zhu Wenjun is turning her bad positions into keeping herself in the game, and also some games she's turning back to her favor.
Totally. I mean, I've been very impressed by her resourcefulness, how she's managed to just utilize this concept of global harmony, just to keep her position together, just to give herself enough compensation to make Hou Yifan's life difficult. And it's a tremendous skill. And we see a draw by agreement, but just 2 minutes and 28 seconds remaining of the match. And Zhu Wenjun has the white pieces. It has been a fantastic match. I mean, it all turned on very small moments.
Absolutely, but we can say that we have a champion, right? They are still going to be playing this game, playing it out. This might be the last game of the match, but it's clear that Zhu Wenjun is going to be the winner of this event. She deserves it, completely deservingly. But there was one moment she was so nervous in this match, game 16, when she had only one extra point. She was leading in that phase of the match. It was 8-7, yeah?
Yeah.
It was 8-7. And then Hou Yifan had the winning position and blundered, ruined it all the way to lose the game. That game, it was very nerve-wracking for Zhu Wenjun.
Absolutely. And that's like the turning point where the match was just flipped on its head, right? Suddenly it's a fight, everything had been level, Zhu Wenjun just suffering some losses, but in the end, it was all in her favor. They say that a good player is always lucky. And Zhu Wenjun, she made her own luck. She just kept the game alive. She did not collapse. She just held her nerve. And here with the white pieces, it's a very level position. Just 50 seconds of the match remaining. She can draw this game out for as long as possible, just to cement that this is going to be the last game. H5, well, Hou Yifan knows that she has to be as quick as lightning if she is going to stay alive, but no, 28 seconds. And it's been such a pleasure to see Hou Yifan and Zhu Wenjun battle it out. It actually makes me wish for more of these type of matches between the pair, because both of these players are formidable legends. 5-time women's world champion, a former 4-time women's world champion. and just great.
Well, maybe finally Hou Yifan can finish the match with a victory. I hope she will not blunder anything here and she can finish this off and at least have a victory in the final game, even though if she lost the match.
Yeah. It's just about those small moments of joy, but what a match. What a final it has been. I speak for myself personally, but it was the final that I was really excited to see. Their beautiful move, their beautiful finish from Hou Yifan, and winning the rook, but she's exchanged down. But Hou Yifan is going to be winning this one, and it's a small consolation, right? Finish on a high.
Very small one, still better to win a final game than not. I mean, at least you have a better taste of it. Rook h6. Interesting that Wenjun still has this fighting spirit. Look at that, how much she's fighting until the very end of the game. I mean, she saved so many games with miracle, we can say. Check, she takes the pawn, takes the other pawn, king f5. But okay, there will be too many pawns left for black.
Yeah. And
King
she keeps
g7,
on fighting
king
until
g6.
the very end. And there we see Hou Yifan wins on time in the very last move of the tournament. But Zhu Wenjun, she is the women's speed chess champion for the second year in a row. What a contender. It has been such a powerhouse of a performance there from the 5-time women's world champion. What title has she not won? She's world blitz champion, she's women's world champion, and now she's the undisputed queen of online chess. But I mean, what a competition it has been, Judith.
Absolutely, she deservingly won this championship. She played very well, even though she had some tough moments, even that she was leading this match. But you can see that it's she deservingly a world champion and wins so many events because she has an incredible nerves, fighting spirit. Those are the best qualities, I think. And she has a very stable style also, so it's very hard to crack her.
And it all started with 16 absolutely incredible players. And Zhu Wenjun, you know, she began with a win against Anastasia Avramidou, then also a very nervy win. You know, she was pushed to the brink by Bibisara Asaobayeva, and she soared into the final with that victory against Polina Shuvalova. And today marks her second year as the Queen of Women's Speed Chess Champion. I mean, what a performance. I mean, I can't believe like how she was pushed to the edge in so many moments, and yet she just showed that with her nerves, with precision, that she was able to always come back, always make those good moves.
Yeah, true. Critical moments, she was extremely sharp.
Absolutely. And well, we are going to have an interview with our Queen of Online Chess, the Women's Speed Chess Champion of 2025, Zhu Wenjun. So do drop us some of your questions in chat, and we're going to go on a short break and prepare to speak to the Woman of the Hour herself, Zhu Wenjun.
This is what happens when two of the best female players in the world collide at the 2025 World Blitz Teen Championship. I'm Grandmaster Pepe Cuenca, and I invite you to enjoy this absolute roller coaster between Alexandra Kosteniuk and Irina Bulmaga. White starts with the Reti opening, fianchettoing the bishop to g2. Everything looked like we were heading for a Catalan, but boom! Kosteniuk throws in knight e5 out of nowhere. Spicy chess right from the get-go. White develops the other bishop onto the big diagonal, and black wisely avoids exchanging queens because, let's be honest, that bishop on g2 is a straight-up demon. After knight b5 and c4, white reopens the diagonal, eyeing that juicy g7 square. Then comes queen to f4, and white dreams of either checkmating on g7 or jumping to c7 with a fork. But knight c7 is never possible because of g5, and boom, the piece is gone, just like that. Instead, white has to go back home for Christmas, and black seizes the moment to line up on the long diagonal. After e3, knight e2 was possible, snatching the bishop pair and probably best for black. But Bulmaga retreats to c6, and now, after queen to g5, the Romanian blunders the c5 pawn. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is Blitz. Anything can happen, and usually does. Then a massive rook swap on the d file follows, and Kosteniuk slips with bishop to f3. Better was bishop to e4, because now after queen f6, black gains a tempo on the bishop and plans to invade enemy territory. King g2 looks natural, but turns out to be a fatal blunder, which Bulmaga doesn't exploit. Knight e5 was a bomb, with this sneaky idea of bishop to c6 check dragging the last soldier into battle. If the bishop stays on e4, then knight g4 is devastating, because white cannot touch the f1. Queen b2 is coming. Instead, we get queen to d8, and after a3, only queen to c2 could keep things balanced. Queen to g5 was very strong, threatening bishop takes h5 and bringing the knight into the action via c5. Bulmaga, now in panic mode, plays b5, but with 2 pawns down, it's game over. What a wild ride! Blitz is pure chaos, and we love it.
The fastest, easiest way to improve your chess is now the most fun way to improve your chess. Chess.com's brand new puzzles now have loads of exciting features to make solving a joy. Earn points and race your friends across puzzle tiers from wood to bronze, all the way to legend. Rack up bonuses for streaks, for speed, for accuracy, for daily solving, difficulty, and more. And now, you can get feedback from Coach while solving puzzles. Coach lets you know what each puzzle's goal is and why a move doesn't actually work. And, as always, puzzles will be selected just for your level from our database of hundreds of thousands of high-quality, beautiful, brilliant, and instructive puzzles. So what are you waiting for? Try puzzles today on web, Android, or iOS, and have a blast leveling up your chess.
And we are here with our champion of the Women's Speed Chess Championship 2025. Of course, it is 5-time Women's World Champion Hou Wenjun. Congratulations, Hou. That was an incredible match. I mean, how are you feeling to have won this event for a second time?
Well, I feel very excited and also very, pleasure, honor to win this this year. And I think today is a very, very exciting match. I mean, it's both making some very strong moves, and I think today I was a bit more lucky, especially when there's a game when I played h5, and after that it's bishop against pawn rook endgame, and then it's just suddenly a draw, I feel. And I think maybe I was a bit more luck.
Well, congratulations from my end as well. It was great to follow the match of today, it was clear that you were extremely concentrated and focused, especially after yesterday's great victory. But you had a big win, 17 points to 5, I think. So it was. How did you feel today when you came to play, and how much did you think that you have to have an advantage, a lead, which would be enough to feel stable?
Oh, I think yesterday, I mean, Polina, she is not in good shape. And for today, I feel like the beginning, like the 5+1 part, I think I just have more points, and that makes me leading and also make her more pressure. And I think in 3+1, she played very good. And then in 1+1, everything happens so fast. So, well, it's very exciting match.
It really was an incredible match. I know you gained a lot of fans here from our audience, but there was one moment, like game 16, where it looked like Hou Yifan was gonna actually make a comeback and level the score. How are you feeling at the time?
Sorry, a 16 game. Which is the game like?
It was
Okay.
when she was on the verge.
don't-
She'd narrowed the gap, and if she'd won, the match would have been equal. So this was, but you won on time. So you won and you turned it around, and suddenly you had 2 points.
Yes. I mean, it's very difficult to play, especially when you have only 1 second or 2 seconds left. Sometimes when you see the move, then you think the reaction, then you don't have enough time. So I think that is also like very testing for the player. Yeah, and also I mean,
Well,
that was also decisive. I mean, if she could manage to equal the score, then it's a new story.
how can you keep your nerves so calm? What is your strategy when you came for this match? And what is your favorite time control out of the three?
Oh, I feel in general in 5+1, it's my favorite because it's also the beginning, and also I feel at first I can I have a lot of time to manage to have some good ideas, and also others is also very very interesting, and also sometimes when you're like out of time, then it's also very like nervous. Yes.
Mhm. And you mentioned there about the different time formats. I mean, did you make any special preparations for this event?
Oh, I think just briefly check like what's my opponent play in the speeches, yeah, and then have some simple ideas, and yeah, just keep the energy most important, keep fresh. Yeah.
I would like to ask one more question. How much do you have special preparation on the different time controls? On Because I know some
Oh,
players, they have special databases for blitz games, for rapid games, for classical game. How much
oh,
are you prepared specifically when you play blitz?
oh, well, I don't have such ideas. I think maybe just during the game when you played some opening and you feel it's working, then you keep it. Then if you feel it's not easy to play, then you just change a new opening.
Mhm. I like that philosophy. And you've had back-to-back wins. Are you going to be going for a three-peat next year? And my other question is, who do you think you'd like to face in the Women's Speed Chess Championship next year as well?
Uh, well, I think they're all many strong players here. I think Ho played very very strong and very, especially in attacking, she played very aggressive, and also it's very 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 strong. So, and also it's like a long match. The first time I've ever played against her, so it will be like lovely to have a rematch. Or okay, I mean, anyway, I enjoy speed chess very much.
Yeah, no, it certainly showed. And also, what do you think about the talent of this generation, this new young generation? Because we had Divya, we had Bibi Sara, and they impressed us with their fighting chess.
Yeah, I think both of them are very talented. For Bibisara, she's very good at attacking and creative problems for opponents. And for Divya, she has the, like the strong nerves that she can, behold the pressure, and also she played excellently. Like she won the Women's World Cup.
Yeah, she certainly did. So it's an exciting generation. And I'd like to ask some questions from chat. It says that Ravenous2 asks, if you were only to pick 3 openings to play every time, which would you choose?
For each side, or just okay, maybe just 3 opening?
Just 3 openings.
Oh, but that's
it's like being asked to choose your favorite child. Difficult.
when I was younger, I played totally different opening, but I think Sicilian and Berlin and okay, maybe Queen's Gambit like declined. Yes, this the most common. Yeah.
I like the combination. And we also have a question from Krishna, who asks, have you tried other stuff similar to chess, like shogi or go, or even other chess variants like King of the Hill, Bug House, and do you enjoy them?
I don't play that in general, and I'm sometimes I play some card games with my friend, and that's quite popular in China, and just to relax.
Yeah, it's important to relax. And one very final question: what is next? Oh, what is next for you in chess?
Oh,
yeah.
Actually, it's very funny. Today I moved to Chengdu for Chinese Chess King Rapid Tournament. So tomorrow I will start like 9 a.m. So it's like I don't have time to prepare, but I think at least I will prepare for the opening ceremony.
Well, good luck for that, and we won't keep you any longer. But once again, congratulations, Zhu Wenjun, 2-time women's speed chess champion, and we wish you the best of luck in your event tomorrow. And we hope you make it in time.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Wow. That wraps up a sensational 2025 event, and it all began with 16 players. So much exciting moments, some forgettable moments, some thrilling battles on the board. But Zhu Wenjun, she is our worthy champion, winning for a 2nd year in a row. And Judith, you've been along with me for the ride for quite a few matches now. I mean, what have been your impressions?
It was interesting. It's fun to follow these blitz, super blitz, and crazy blitz games, the bullet chess. And I always like to follow the how a match unfolds, the psychological element, the bouncing back, what kind of characters the players are. And I can say that I liked very much the match between Hou Yifan and Divya, because that was a great start with some tricks and tactics and nice solutions. And that match went all the way to the Armageddon, so that was really, really tense. And we've seen 2 incredible characters, one who already retired a bit or their profession, the other one is a rising star, and we don't know where she's going to be reaching and what's her top of the top. And of course, this was something extremely interesting to follow, to see the top 2 ladies playing, who are the best these days. How it unfolded from game to game, when there was a 3 game in a row, Zhu Wenjun won. At the same time, we've seen all that character trait what you have to be a champion for a long time, what Hou Yifan had when she recovered, and she was just there, just one move away basically from equaling the match. And who knows, maybe we have been talking to another person, that would be another outcome possibly. But of course, I want to congratulate against the Wenjun, because she showed all her skills, and deservingly she won this championship.
Absolutely, Judith. It has been an incredible few weeks. I mean, it's been full of the most exciting chess I've seen. I'd like to give you a special thank you, because you've just been absolutely brilliant with your energy, with your insights. It's just been an absolute blast to commentate alongside you. And of course, last but not least, I'd like to thank everyone at home for following in on the action and just making this a super special event. But all good things do come to an end, and we are leaving you today with the best moments from this year's Women's Speed Chess Championship. So until the next time, goodbye and enjoy.
Bye.
Yes, Ekaterina finds it.
I have some crazy ideas of knight d6. But it seems like the computer thinks it is really a crazy idea.
Well, Judith, we are seeing this. We are seeing this right now.
Good.
Knight
She plays knight
d6.
d6.
It catches us all, this one.
And Polina is in big danger. So I don't know.
Yeah, and
Oi to Polina.
nothing to be done.
That's a brutal start for Wenjun.
Well, she could just queen d5. There's queen d5, Judith. She missed it.
Yeah, but time.
Wenjun wins on time. Wenjun wins again. Just being completely one-sided.
Oh, what a heartbreak for Polina.
And she does it. Wenjun faces off against Hou Yifan.
Rook g7. Rook g7.
G7.
Oi. Ooh.
Beautiful.
Oh, what a painful loss for Hou Yifan. Whoops.
You didn't see it. And things are suddenly going to become live for Wenjun.
Game over. Wenjun in the lead again.
The pawn and b4 is irrelevant.
Oops. Oh my god, the queen.
She blundered the queen.
I mean, Hou Yifan has to... no. Sorry, I thought she blundered. Great.
No, Hou Yifan narrows the gap to 2 points.
Oops. Nice. Only 1 point ahead for Wenjun. Oops, in h5.
Oi. What is happening? Bishop to d6.
Mouse.
And look at the rook is hanging.
Mouse. Look at that, the fighting spirit. Look at the fighting spirit of Wenjun.
And Hou Yifan does win, but it's on time.
Wenjun still has this fighting spirit. Look at that, how much she's fighting until the very end. She deserves it.